Warning, warning, warning. Adult content. Oh shit, it's Batman!
Remember kids, Beer 420 contains strong language, strong sexual language, and the use of alcohol and marijuana. 18 and older.
Beer 420, shall crack a brew. Nothing more than freaks, burning up the way that's going pissing in the mainstream. It's a beer 420, shall crack a brew and roll your dough. Not your normal radio.
We nothing more than freaks, bringing up the underground and pissing in the mainstream.
Punk ass down, it's time for the show, so get your blunts and ready to go. Lose the inhibition, listen and let your mind blow. Every thought brought here is a chance to grow. Tired of politicians telling you what you can't hear? What we offer is the truth uploaded straight to the ear. So you can catch us on the interweb with all of the nerds yelling fuck the industry and throwing double the birds. Ha! Listen, we on a mission, dissing the 99, pissing off the piggies that treat us like we was Columbine. Cause the police state is a state of decay. We gon' keep broadcasting until they haul us away. So kick back, relax, and enjoy this here. Probably share a couple laughs and maybe even a tear. We the Suicide Saints screaming share the wealth.
What's it called?
Bam and Cat about to give them some help. Cause
it's a beer 420.
We crush the industry.
Shall crack a brew and roll.
We're puffing on that tree.
Not your normal radio.
We nothing more than freaks, bringing up the underground and pissing in the mainstream.
It's a beer 420.
We crush the industry.
Shall crack a brew and roll your dough. Not your normal radio.
We nothing more than freaks, bringing up the underground and pissing in the mainstream.
Bam, I am. Slam grams through bongs and Trans Am. I ain't got it, but I'll jack your mom's. A blood splat in my palm, and I'm jacking off. Laughing while I slap the paps top and drink the froth. Make me gag like today's rap. Lil Wayne and Kanye should take a grave nap. Saints take the game back. Old school like 8 tracks. We young like 9, but enraged like cage rats. Despite that, we just screaming we needs monies, bitch. We tell you this and laugh about it, hoping that you get the hint. Taking chronic hits and lit up like a summer day. Roll another spliff and drinking all the pain away. You tuned in right now, just sit the fuck down. Crack a beer, roll the dro, turn it up loud. Let's go, 420 on the clock. Blunts, roll, pack plenty, stay blaze, never stop, yeah.
It's a beer 420.
We crush the industry.
Shall crack a brew and roll.
We're puffing on the tree.
Not your normal radio.
We nothing more than freaks, bringing up the underground and pissing to the mainstream.
It's a beer 420.
We crush the industry.
Shall crack a brew and roll your dough. Not your normal radio.
We nothing more than freaks, bringing up the underground and pissing in the mainstream.
shit. Woo! You know now, we ended up at the hoot town. It was warm, peaceful, and free. Parked the van full of stoners on the ground and set up camp beer 420. The sun went down and the sun revealed. The ladies took off their clothes. No matter what we get out of this, I know we'll never forget. Smoke marijuana and blow it towards the sky. Smoke marijuana. We get hot tonight. Woo! Hey, have me one of them beers too. Here, man. Attaboy. Come here, girl. Burn it down. Pass it around. Some good shit.
Welcome to Special Beer 420 Web Radio. We're here with Brittany Lind and Nick Rains of the Missouri Cannabis Restoration Protection Act, pushing the movement here. We also have Alyssa, who is also going to share with us a little later in the show. She's with Southwest Missouri Cop Watchers and also Tiny Homes.
Yes.
Right? That's what it's, Tiny Homes. So thank you guys for being here. This is kind of an off-the-cuff show, so remember, guys, share it, like it, love it. Go find these guys and get involved in your local movement.
Sign the petition.
And sign the petition. Go register to vote and help with petitions. Get people to the petitions. If you're that type of person that likes, you're a people person, become a petitioner. You can help get the petition out there to people. Everybody, in every working life that I've had, whether it's corporate or otherwise, I have known people that have used marijuana, cannabis, for a myriad of reasons. Stress, pain, anxiety, the ability to calm down after, especially high sales, high pressure. They get off work and they're like, they got to wind down, shut their brain down. People for pain, every walk of life, different types of people, and you wouldn't believe. And so all this rhetoric about marijuana being a gateway drug to blah, 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 blah. No. That's not what this is all about.
We can save children's lives.
Yeah, I mean, we're
right
talking
now.
about something that is a miracle plant, in my opinion. From the perspective of Beer 420 Backhand Studios, cannabis in all of its forms is a miracle plant. From textiles to fuel to food to soil refertilization, we could literally start planting marijuana crops in the desert and reclaim the frickin' desert back to fertile soil. I mean, it's that much of a miracle plant. Back in the day, way back when, it was federally mandated that every farmer rotate crop field rotations and plant marijuana in those fields to neutralize the soil, because those plants will take the toxicity right out of the soil.
Prior to the 1930s, actually, hemp was the largest industrial crop in both Kansas and Missouri. It was our biggest selling crop prior to the 1930s. Once they decided to pursue prohibition and start outlawing hemp, what happened was the hemp fields in Kansas and Missouri were eradicated, and very shortly thereafter is when the Dust Bowl started to pick up and started to happen. And the removal of hemp crops played a huge part in why that happened. Now, there were a lot of mitigating factors to the Dust Bowl, but the removal of our crops was the number one issue there. We lost a lot of money. We lost here in the Midwest the ability to really be economically sound when we lost our access to industrial hemp farms. It's made a huge impact. And so with the MCRPA, our goal is it is to treat patients. It is to save lives. It's also to save our economy and to save our environment and to really bring healing to all of Missouri, to its people and to its land and to its socioeconomic status. And the MCRPA is the only initiative out there in Missouri at this time that can offer those benefits legitimately.
To everyone.
To everybody.
Everyone.
So one of our biggest benefits with the MCRPA is the tax structure. We have completely eliminated taxes for medical patients. We don't think that it's ever acceptable for a government to profit off of the sick and needy. We've also removed the need for medical cards and licenses, thereby removing those excess fees for patients as well. Under the MCRPA, all you need is a doctor's recommendation. So a doctor just has to write up a letter stating that they recommend that you treat with cannabis. You take that letter with you wherever you go to purchase your medicine or wherever you go to purchase your grow materials, and you don't pay tax on anything that you purchase. Yep. For those who choose to use recreationally, you pay state and local taxes only. There's no sin taxes.
That's one of the counter arguments to some of the other bills or ideas that have been out there and announced or they tried to push, and that was one of the things they were trying to tax it.
Yeah,
and
outrageous.
How are you gonna label something as a medicine and tax it when you don't tax any other medicine at all?
Well, it's hard enough for
that's like discrimination right there.
It's hard enough for patients to put food on the table for their families.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we going to take from them?
Exactly.
Right.
And thanks to the fact that cannabis isn't at this time, since it's not federally regulated or recognized as being legal, we can't push for insurance companies to help offset the cost of cannabis as medicine. Well, so for typically what happens, say for a glioblastoma patient, a cancer patient, you start on typically what begins as a 90-day regimen. And by the 30th day, you're taking at least a gram of oil, high concentrate oil, a day. In places like Colorado, that gram's going to cost you $50 to $70. Okay, so that's $100 every 2 days, and you're expected to do this for 90 of them.
On top of tax.
On top of taxes, you got to pay for your medical card. You got to pay for your licenses. If you want to grow and supplement with your own medicine from home, you got to pay a fee for that. We don't want that in Missouri. I work with a lot of patients all over the country.
Now, that is the farce, right? Because that's what's going on in Colorado and those other places.
Absolutely.
It's not a decriminalized marijuana movement. It's a big pharma owns everything. Pay our bill if you want to touch this movement.
Yeah,
it's a big government-owned control move.
It has been up to this point. The thing is that people across the country have opted for taking baby steps, for passing what they know can get through instead of aiming for what they really want. And so what we're getting, we say that here in the United States we've got 4 states with legalization. We've got Colorado, Alaska, Oregon, and Washington.
Right.
Here in Missouri at the
that's
MCRPA.
That's not really what it is. It's more like regulated.
Here at the MCRPA, what we say is that's quasi-legal.
Right.
It's quasi-legalization. It's actually, once you really get into it and you pay attention to what's happened in states like Colorado, it's actually very prohibitive.
Right.
It restricts employee rights. It restricts
Right.
your right to drive.
Right.
If you live
Takes
in the
your
wrong,
gun rights.
if you live in the wrong city or county, you can't have cannabis in your city or county. They're allowed to opt out from a county to county basis out there.
Oh, wow.
We've eliminated that as well. We've said that, you know, if the people vote this into action, then everybody has to have access.
Right.
It's not okay. But I work with a lot of patients
So they had
all
to
across
fight
the
county
United
to
States.
county to get them to agree to
Yes.
the...
Yes, and then my biggest issue with what we're seeing happen in other states is I work with a lot of patients, and I have gotten calls from patients, from cancer patients and epilepsy patients, letting me know that unfortunately they are having to stop treatment because there's only so many caregivers per patient. Only so many of them have the ability to be able to give away free medicine. And these caregivers out there, these independent caregivers, are giving away, most of them are giving away at least 90% of their oils and their medicines for free. But they have to cover their own costs. I mean, when you're looking at tens of thousands of dollars
operation
to grow and then
costs
license,
alone, you know.
and then to license
Right,
out there,
right.
$50,000 licensing fees and
What?
$250,000
That is some
liquid
fascist
assets.
crap right there. That is
Yeah.
so fascist, man.
Yes. So another thing that we did.
That's not a free market. That's a
not.
controlled, manipulated rich man's market.
It-
Who's got 50 grand to put on an investment like that?
Exactly. And
They're making it out of the reach of the normal person.
They are. In fact, kind of what we saw.
So if you're rich, it's okay to use marijuana.
But let's don't forget that right there is boosting the cartel money.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
It
boosting the cartel markets.
Criminal activity.
Well, really,
Right.
really, honestly, what's happening, I think, out there is, and in a lot of these states, is so in order to get into the cannabis industry, you have to go through an entire application process. And only a few people are selected to get licenses in each area
Right.
in order to enter the industry. And so
Right.
what's happening is, in a lot of cases, the people who are getting licenses to get into industry for like retail sales and such, a lot of it, when you trace the money back, it's all owned by the same groups of people.
Right.
So it's another way to form
It's
a
another
monopoly when you introduce a
another
strict
monopoly,
dispensary model
yeah.
like that. So that's
Right.
another thing we've eliminated is you don't have to have any special business licenses or farming licenses.
Because I know someone that's in Colorado, and they invested time and money in all these crops and stuff, and now they're sitting with all this product, and nobody will buy it from them.
Yeah, because they're not licensed.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and so that's a lot of what's happened out there. So for farmers, what we've basically stated is they'll pay the same licensing fees as they would for any other crop. Somebody who, say, wants to open up a dispensary, you're going to pay the same kind of business tax that you would pay on any other business that you open at the same exact
Right.
rates. We want to open up this market and really allow everybody to take advantage.
Right.
We are in farm
So
country.
you can be a farmer or a merchant without
Exactly.
getting screwed in the
Exactly.
middle. And you can also do for personal use, non-commercial.
Our communities can set their own goals.
Exactly.
Right.
Well,
right.
And here's the thing of it is, we live in farm country. A lot of our farmers here, they've fallen on really hard times economically speaking. And
we could revitalize that farming market.
Exactly. So meanwhile,
that's over then.
We
Then
are-
the farm market is like, boom,
Exactly.
the other way. Like,
and we want everybody to have access to it because we're in one of the best states to actually do industrial hemp farming.
Right.
Well, currently, you notice there's a lot of like hemp lotions and hemp products on the U.S. market.
Right.
Okay, that is a $3 trillion a year industry being exported to China and Canada.
just being pulped.
Yeah.
Pulped marijuana.
Yeah, hemp. Pulp hemp.
Pulped hemp.
So non-psychoactive cannabis plants
Non-psychoactive cannabis plants.
is what hemp is, basically. It's just a plant with less THC in it.
Right, it's the way it's
But we are
raised.
exporting $3 trillion a year to other countries.
It's still
we
cannabis,
can bring
it's
that
just the way it's
industry
raised. Right.
and let Missouri take that industry over.
Exactly.
Right.
We can take that money
And keep it domestic.
Right.
And
At
keep
least
it
put a dent
domestic.
in it.
With the
We might not be
economic
able to do
state
it
of
all,
our
but-
country and of Missouri itself, that is not even something.
Missouri
that's not
could
something
set a
we can
precedent
lose out on.
here.
We
Yeah.
can.
Missouri could set a precedent
Yes.
here for the rest of the country.
Exactly.
We would become
the heart of
like a glowing spot on the map of history that
the heart of America can lead the way for the rest of America.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. The heart of America, Missouri. can lead the way for the rest of us to prosper greatly.
Yeah.
Now, we're talking here to Brittany Lind and Nick Raines about Missouri Cannabis Restoration and Protection Act. Now, what are some key points to this? Like, if we were to just lay out, what is the biggest thing that this is going to impact for people? You know, we just covered crops and stuff, but I'm saying if we could bullet point it.
Okay, so the bullet point list, here's what we have. A few things I've already stated. No tax for patients. State and local taxes only on retail sales. The biggest and most important part is actually line 1 of our initiative, which states that cannabis shall immediately be removed from Missouri's list of controlled substances, which is huge. We don't want to reschedule cannabis. We want to deschedule cannabis. We want it removed. It's not a drug.
It shouldn't be there.
It's a plant.
It should be like
it's
a tomato.
superfood. It's extremely nutritious for our bodies. It's a preventative medicine, and it's an amazing treatment. So there's no taxes, removal from the list of controlled substances, no big business fees. Another huge and very important part of this is that it grants amnesty to non-violent cannabis only offenders. So for those people currently serving, say, probation, prison sentences, they're still on parole after
Lost
being
their
released.
kids because of marijuana.
Well, I'll get to that in a
there.
minute.
We're
We'll get to
getting
that in a
there.
minute.
We probably
but,
need to take a break
but
before we get
for
to
just
that.
the amnesty section of it, it's anybody who's currently on probation, parole, or in prison or is incarcerated will be immediately released as of January 31st, 2017.
So their lives won't be ruined
So
anymore,
their lives
Brittany?
won't be ruined
And
anymore.
the records will be cleared.
Yeah.
Cover something that's harmless?
Hold on. Jeff Mazansky, with our initiative, will be able to walk a free man. He will no longer be on
And
paper.
we'll be able to get the rest of the people who are in Missouri serving ridiculously long sentences released too. There are other people in Missouri that are serving close to life sentences for cannabis only offenses. They're out there. They're sitting in prison, making absolutely no contribution to our society, but rather costing us thousands of dollars a year, splitting up their families and trashing their lives over a plant. And we are very passionate about making sure that has to stop. It's got to stop.
I agree.
So we have granted amnesty there. It'll allow people to start expunging their records and getting old records removed, thereby releasing a lot of people from felonies. So
yeah,
they're more
I have
open in the job
an
market.
acquaintance that can't drive through Fort Leonard Wood to shortcut to work anymore because he had a pot offense when he was 18.
Yep.
Yes.
They just started doing this like within the last year.
Hold on,
like he's been going through there all this time, shortcutting to work through Fort Leonard Wood. And then all of a sudden one day they're just like, yep, no, pot offense when you were 18. Even though he served his time, he did all, paid his fines,
Hold on. You're telling me what you're telling me is an 18-year-old young man, okay, adult, 18-year-old adult, but young man.
Adult that can die for our country.
Yeah, that can die for our country.
And be drafted.
Actually did time for a pot-related offense. Mm-hmm. Because he had a plant in his pocket.
But that was over 20-something years ago. So that's the thing. They're stopping him now and not letting him go through there on an offense that he had 20 years ago and no other offenses since.
Hold on.
So it's like, what the hell kind of fascist shit is our...
Well, rules are rules.
So now he's a terrorist because
No.
Why are they not letting him through Fort Leonard Wood?
Because he has an offense. But with our initiative...
He smoked pot once upon a time.
He'll be able to
20
go
years
through Fort
later...
Leonard Wood.
You got caught smoking pot when you were 18, Mr. 38-year-old. We're not letting you through Fort Leonard Wood. You got caught smoking pot once and paid a fine.
That's absolutely ludicrous.
And went to drug court.
It is.
Ludicrous.
I mean, it's just it's a farming market. They're farming money and time and everything. And if you can't do it, then they'll collect federal money and throw you in prison.
How obscene is it that we can't travel on roads we pay for?
It's crazy.
It is obscene.
That man goes to work every day.
Now, why are there no age restrictions there, Brittany?
Well, that is actually it's a long and complicated
I
conversation.
bet that's a humdinger. You get that one all the time, huh?
We sure do. A lot of people don't understand it. There is a common misconception that tells you that placing age restrictions for recreational use only affects recreational users. Well, that's not the case. We have an entire group of kids and of children who have different types of cognitive and dysfunctional illnesses who cannot be diagnosed and therefore cannot receive cannabis as medicine with age restrictions. Another big thing, a huge point to make here, is that when in other states, what we're seeing, states with legal medical programs, the laws that are placed in order to allow pediatric patients to be treated or to allow the children of patients to remain in their home, those laws that state that adult medical users aren't breaking the law,
right?
They don't carry over to the eyes of children and
Medical
family services
community,
and
right.
social services. And so we've seen hundreds of cases across the country where the children of and siblings of medical patients are being removed from their homes and placed in foster care. And the only reason they are being removed is because there's cannabis in the home. Now let's talk about foster care for a second. We've all been hearing stories lately about how corrupt foster care is. I actually gave a presentation yesterday and was able to tell people the story of Bree Green out of Lansing, Michigan. Bree was removed from her parents' home because her parents were medical cannabis users. Now, Bree got really lucky and made it home after 6 weeks.
Wow.
But Bree is lucky. You see, she went through traumatizing 6 weeks away from her parents and away from her family. And that was almost 2 years ago.
Insane.
It was almost 2 years ago, and social services is still in that family's life on a bi-weekly basis. They're still coming in and doing home visits.
They're harassing them.
It's
none of their business. They're tax-paying Americans. It's none of your frickin' business.
Despite the fact that an internal investigation found that the caseworkers who removed Bree Green from their homes acted out of line and had no legal reason to take her because her parents had never broken the law. But I say Bree is lucky, and she is lucky, because then we have stories
about But now that case,
kids.
though, can be used in other examples
Yes.
to help.
Yes.
So,
now, hey, guess what
But
happened?
it took hell for them to go through that
Exactly.
and make a president.
But
Is
still,
that hell?
hold
Or is
on,
this
but
hell?
still, Bree Green's family is lucky. She made it home. Then we've got cases of kids like Alexandria Hill, who was from Texas. This beautiful, healthy, happy toddler was removed from her home because her parents were using cannabis. Her father had some medical issues. He found cannabis to help. We know he broke the law for a plant and for a quality of life. Alexandria Hill was removed from her home, happy, healthy, developed, and highly functioning.
Highly functional.
And was dead within 6 months because her foster parents, who admitted a history of crack cocaine use, beat her to death. Landed that baby on life support, brain dead for 2 days.
What the hell? So they're stealing people's kids and giving them to crack addicts that are collecting money for their crack
legal
addicts?
documents to back that up.
There is literally
That is insane.
a precedent in this country and in the propaganda movement that cannabis is a dangerous substance, that it's more dangerous than crack cocaine, than methamphetamines. This little girl paid with her life because of the propaganda that our government is setting forth. And because of the fact that nobody wants to fight against the repercussions of age restriction limits, because nobody wants to risk being seen as promoting recreational drug use in kids. Which gets me to my next point. Let me tell you something about recreational drug use in teenagers. It's illegal. And it's been illegal for a really long time. And we still got a whole lot of teenagers going against their parents' wishes and using. Now, in Colorado and in Washington, they're already seeing a decline in teen use. So you got to ask yourself, well, what changed? Well, the laws didn't change. It's still illegal to use cannabis under the age of 21 in Colorado. And it's always been illegal, right? For that age group, it has always been and still is very illegal. What changed is their access to open, honest conversation and education. Our kids don't avoid doing bad things because we tell them not to. If you say to a kid, don't go smoke pot because I said so and I'm in charge of you, that teenager is going to say, well, screw that. I'll have to listen to you. I'm going to break the rules. I'm a grown adult now, even though I'm 15 years old. What changes our kids from doing these things is to say to them, here's the truth. Here's your education. Cannabis is a medicine. It's something for adults to enjoy. You shouldn't let it distract you. Whatever you need to say to your kids. That's the only way to keep your kids from using as teenagers if you don't believe that they should be using. There are a lot of kids out there who aren't diagnosed by doctors who need treatments. And there is no reason to allow this to tear families apart. So, say we keep age restrictions and a child does choose to use recreationally, then what happens? Well, let's see. Then your teenager just lost their chance to be in academic programs at school, on athletic teams at school.
Takes them out of athletic teams.
No,
they could be
yeah,
wonderful.
they get kicked off their athletic teams.
All the time.
Marked as a terrorist and can't drive through Fort Leonard Wood.
Right. You get kicked out of your academic teams. They lose their chances at scholarships. They don't make it into good schools.
Right.
Now, all of a sudden, we've created an entirely new generation of unproductive members of society over a plant. We should not be incarcerating children for making bad decisions.
Right.
That's literally what children do.
That's stupid. That is what kids do.
Exactly.
We made bad choices.
For every other bad decision they make, what we say is, well, it's your parents' job to teach you what's right. It should be the same way with cannabis. If our kids make a bad decision, then they should go home to their parents, and their parents should be left with their parental rights.
That's the problem. Is like my
handle
generation of TVs are raising the kids, now computers are raising the kids, and parents are less and less involved with their kids' lives, and they just want to bitch about the problems and not be involved. So it's like, it's kind of weird. Our culture is pushed toward that almost.
The thing of it is that those teens that are coming from homes that are neglecting them and not paying attention to what they're doing and making sure they're on the right path. Unfortunately, those are the kids who, if they do get arrested, likely come from the kind of home where nobody's going to support them enough to get them out of trouble, and then their lives are just that much more screwed up.
Right.
The answer for those kids who don't have attentive enough parents to help them through those things, it's not to incarcerate them. It's to have social outreach programs available to them, education within their schools on how to make the right decisions. It's not okay to incarcerate a kid from a troubled home who's going to end up staying in trouble for years and years to come because they don't have an adult in their life who will take them to see their probation officers or who will help pay their fines to get them out of trouble. These are kids we're talking about. They're not adults. They're not self-sufficient. They can't dig themselves out of the bad choices they make. That's our job. That's society's job. That's the parents' job. It's our job to guide the next generation. It's not, however, supposed to be the job of the police to raise our kids.
Right.
And we need to, it's high time that we step
well,
up.
Just like
and
it's not the police's job to protect us.
Well,
it's the police's job to come in when things are out of our neighborhood's control. That's when, just like in real life, 99% of the policing that goes on in our communities is done by us and our neighbors.
Yeah.
The only time the police are ever called is when it's escalated and is out of control.
When we call.
Exactly. When it's out of control. And, so like in this community, Nixa, there's that element here, just like in any community. But the shit is handled internally by the town and the community.
Let's talk about these children that lose these scholarships and lose.
That's just insane, man.
These opportunities do nothing. 9 times out of 10, they fall off and get low-paying jobs.
Yeah.
Bad stuff happens.
We're literally saying, welcome to day 1 of adulthood.
Yes.
Here's your scarlet letter.
Yes.
Good luck.
Good luck, buddy.
Good luck. Because now you can't get a college education, and you're likely not going to get a good job, and you probably screwed up your high school career. And a lot of these kids, due to the pressure of keeping up with the demands of probation, or in a lot of times incarceration into juvenile detention centers, will you explain to me how a 16-year-old kid who's obviously struggling with a few things, is supposed to handle the weight and responsibility of being tied up in our judicial punishment system, and also deal with the weight of school after having just been ostracized from all of their social groups. That's when we see these kids start to break down and end up in even more trouble. It's not rectifying or teaching our kids the appropriate lesson to let the police and the judicial system parent them. They should be coming home to parents who teach them what they should be doing and support them, and communities that are willing to help them figure out what decisions they should be making.
And be educated about it, not
Exactly.
follow the rhetoric. Because
Exactly.
there's a lot of
Well,
false rhetoric. It's
Exactly.
How long?
like,
how long
the
have you been-
false prophets thing.
How
I
long
mean,
has
it's
it
not
occurred?
hard to be informed.
Exactly.
How long has it occurred that we have been misled on cannabis?
About 70 years.
Well, and a recent fact that has been exposed is that
It's time we step up as a community.
the government,
We need to
local,
build better communities.
state, and federal government has argued that there's not enough research, there's not enough this, there's not enough that. But it has been proven as fact that marijuana, cannabis, is one of the most researched and documented to be proven
There's actually more research.
miracle plant
There's more research and documentation about
than any
cannabis
other drug out there.
than there are for the top 50 FDA-approved drugs
Yeah.
on the market.
Yeah.
It just doesn't
And like
make any sense.
they just
Wait a minute.
legalized synthetic heroin for freaking 11-year-olds, for God's sake.
Right?
Children.
Right.
So now
You know,
they've got one of two choices. The kid's going to grow up and be a functional drug addict and be paying a government drug dealer for their medications, or they're not going to be able to afford it and become a criminal and start
Well,
getting the shit through the underground.
you
Because
know-
there's always one way or the other.
Yeah. I think it speaks
In
volumes.
a controlled medical market, that is the choice. Above table, or I can't afford your fees, bitch. I'm getting it from the Mexicans.
You know, I think that
I'm getting it from the Mexicans.
I think that it speaks volumes that our federal government is trying to tell us that we don't have enough research to prove cannabis's medicinal value when they've held medical patents on it since the 70s.
Yeah, they've been kidding. It's been kidnapped.
They have supplied.
Stolen.
They have
Stolen.
supplied
Stolen.
medical
That's a good
cannabis.
one.
From the
That's a good
American
one.
people. Stolen from the taxpayers.
They have supplied medical cannabis
It's a huge cover-up.
to U.S.
It's
citizens
a money scam.
for the last 40 years.
Well, just as you've explained here, they're foster farming, they're prison farming. They're basically taking what they think is a poor community, okay, that they find not economically viable, okay, and what they make on one poor kid that they manage to rack up into prison in a year of $35,000 federal or more, depending on the prison. They get $35,000 in a year for one inmate poor kid that they can lock up, and that's more than they'll ever get from him in taxes in a year. So they've just made a poor kid straw man worth more than what he would ever be worth on the street free. So they're prison farming. And that's just one of the many facets of what's going on here, because if I was a wood industry, if I owned tree farms, and I saw how long it took for me to produce wood via tree, via this, via that, and that high impact materials are more, desirable
Viable.
these days,
Hold on.
and insulated.
Way more viable.
Yeah, and what they're doing is they're taking big frickin' trees and they're grinding them down to pulp to make pressurized planks for building material. Instead of a renewable crop of, say, hemp, I would be like, okay, you know what? I'm going to replant all those trees I cut down, and we're taking this big square chunk of land, and we're starting hemp. Screw this. I'm going to save money. I'm going to have a higher end product.
Yeah, the building materials
You
that
would
are
think
produced.
they would jump on board with that and go, man, we'll be able to save millions. I'll be able to pocket more money, still be paying the same workers. See what I'm saying? Because you don't have to wait as long for a crop versus a tree. One frickin' tree. It takes forever for one frickin' tree. So, I mean, you can grow one tree worth of hemp in a short period of time.
Hempcrete.
Yeah,
Hempcrete.
There's hempcrete,
Oh
which
my
can
God, I've
replace
heard of
concrete
that.
foundations and
Yeah, and it's heavily
can last
insulated.
up to 100
It's like
years. It's heavily insulated. It's better for your energy bills and better for the environment.
Missouri filled with limestone, that would help our economy.
Yeah.
What's that?
There's also
concrete. Yeah.
With limestone, we have a lot of that.
Limestone.
Well, there's
hempcrete.
also the fact that that planting hemp crops removes toxicity from
the
soil
soil.
and from the groundwater.
Right.
In the state of Missouri, we have 37 Superfund sites. Okay, the closest Superfund site to my home is in the middle of the Kansas City metro in a residential neighborhood where the government has admitted that, hey, we've made this area so toxic that the soil here actually can't grow anything and you shouldn't be living here.
And that's where Monsanto comes in.
Yes.
See, they've got every angle of this.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, we'll have Monsanto genetically mutate seeds that will grow in toxic soil, and they patented it.
Now, but
Or
what
like,
happens?
what's in the soil now?
So
oh,
then-
all these hard metals. Let's make a seed that we own.
So then what happens with those crops is they actually, not just Monsanto crops, other crops like corn and wheat is so hard on the soil that what happens is farmers have to own more farmland in order to be able to rotate their crops from one section to the other because the soil needs rest seasons in order to regenerate its nutrients. Hemp does the opposite. It regenerates the soil and removes the toxins and replenishes the nutrients it found in soil. Meaning that for a farmer who has portions of their field where the soil has lost all of its nutritional value and can't grow crops anymore, or for these Superfund sites where we need to remove toxicity, we can plant hemp crops. After a season or two of depending upon the toxicity level, after a couple seasons of hemp farming in that soil, the soil is now healthier and more nutritious. Naturally. Healthier and more nutritious without pesticides, without herbicides, without any kind of chemicals needed in order to keep the crops alive. So it environmentally,
I'm going to make hemp paper sacks.
We
That's
here
what I'm
in
gonna
Missouri,
do. I'm going to have a paper sack factory for all the stores.
with the Missouri Cannabis,
completely biodegradable, renewable source.
Yes.
Use it for fertilizer if you want.
The Missouri Cannabis Restoration Protection Act gives us the opportunity to be the first group to hand our future generations clean land.
It's disgusting.
We are living worldwide in such an unsustainable level that whether people want to acknowledge it or not, overpopulation, a chemical runoff from just different variations of our lifestyles, we are killing our planet. We're losing trees. We're creating too much pollution. Hemp cleans that pollution. It cleans the pollution out of the air, the soil, and the groundwater all at once. And it can save our earth. But we've got to quit fighting against a natural remedy to all of these things on the basis that it's going to take away from corporate profits, which is really what this comes down to. Is cannabis is a huge threat to the oil industry, in the textile industry, in the deforestation industry, based industries. It's a threat to all of these, the pharmaceutical industry especially. It is amazing. This plant, it seriously seems to have no limitations.
Well, case in point, I don't know that a lot of people know this, but the area around Chernobyl was planted with cannabis to remediate the radioactive soils.
Yeah.
That happened.
They could be using it to help clean up the devastating effects of Fukushima.
Exactly.
By the way, we have the Springfield City Councilman with us, Doug Burleson.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah, welcome, Doug. I was going to announce that as soon as I got in worded edgewise. We're listening to Brittany Lind here, Director of Marketing and Media Management. She's been filling us in on all the details. We also have Nick here. Doug just rolled in. Former Springfield Town Council member. You're now one of the organizers for the Southwest Missouri group of the Cannabis Restoration.
I'm the
Springfield guy.
I'm taking the reins, the responsibility of getting the signatures from Springfield.
Okay. So, Again, guys, you can be involved. We'll be right back with more. Here's some Jaw Kings Critical Mass. We got more chit-chat. And then we'll follow that up with What If God Smoked Cannabis? Brittany request.
We're at Critical Mass. Whoa-yo, whoa-yo. Critical Mass. Whoa-yo, whoa-yo. Critical Mass. Whoa-yo, whoa-yo. Whoa-yo, whoa-yo. Critical Mass. Whoa-yo, whoa-yo. How much longer can our mother take this pain while mankind busy fussing and fighting, arguing about climate change? Won't listen to the wisdom of my indigenous people. Amazingly, right before my eyes, I've seen plenty transmuting into sheeple. Transmuting into sheeple, that's why we got critical mass. Whoa-yo, whoa-yo. We're at critical mass. Whoa-yo, whoa-yo. Critical mass. Whoa-yo, whoa-yo. Whoa-yo, whoa-yo. Critical mass. Whoa-yo, whoa-yo. Long enough to see what the one in your world and your land. Like Ashes, yes, man, I'd rather bury his head deep in the sand. That's why then I see corruption on so many levels. This is why divide and conquer has been so successful to this day. In Babylon, there's greed and vanity, yeah. In the indigenous languages, there's no word for I, only we, yeah. That's why we're at this boiling point. But it's Jaja who shall have the last line. Jaja who shall anoint. And this our critical mass. Whoa-yo, whoa-yo. We're at critical mass. Whoa-yo, whoa-yo. Critical mass. Whoa-yo, whoa-yo. Whoa-yo, whoa-yo. Critical mass. Whoa-yo, whoa-yo. Whoa.
Yes, yes, yes. The plane is taking off. It's in the air. We're right here, talking to you live from the Portal House garage with the wall of the bivouac. We got people in the chat. I want to thank Shirley for being in there. Kent Marsh is in the chat. Nick says hey.
Kent Marsh. Hello,
Hey,
buddy.
Kent.
Wish you were here, buddy.
What else we got here? Anyway, they all shout out, say hi back, hello to you. Remember, like and share this episode of Beer 420, and it will help get the message out to more people. Again, Brittany Lind, Director of Marketing and Media Management with Missouri Cannabis Restoration Protection Act. So these guys, I have a few other. What does the DUI section really mean in the? I'm sure people have asked.
Yeah, there's been a little bit of confusion over what our DUI language says, and so what the initiative itself actually says is that simple possession and use of cannabis shall no longer be grounds for a DUI, and so a lot of people are, the more conservative crowd, the people who aren't 100% on board yet. Well, wait, you can't tell, a bunch of stoners that they're allowed to get super high and drive. Well, actually, we really can. When you're talking about medical patients, you can't say to a medical patient, you can't take your medicine and operate a vehicle.
Right, because there are people right now on oxycodone and all kinds of crap that aren't being regulated. I know a woman herself who's taken out 3 mailboxes in her car on pills.
Right.
And
so
she gets away with it.
Exactly.
Time and time again, I'm like, how can this woman keep her license? She's taken out 3 mailboxes, nodding out while driving.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just like,
so
she
now,
is a danger,
Now, here's the caveat to our DUI language is we are not saying you can't be pulled over for failure to use a blinker, per se.
Right.
And have them say, oh, ma'am, I smell cannabis.
Right.
I'm gonna charge you with the DUI because I found your prescription cannabis in the car. I found your recreational.
Right.
I don't care what.
Right. Whatever.
They can't. Oh, well, I can smell that flower over there. I'm going to charge you with a DUI because you have it in your car.
Right.
They can't say, say that you're involved in an auto accident where somebody else caused the accident. Under current laws, if you get injured and you test positive for cannabis,
you're guilty.
You're guilty,
That's
regardless
ridiculous.
of who actually caused the accident.
Right.
So we want to eliminate those issues.
I want to. Let's not even get into insurance because that's a whole scam in my freaking book to begin with.
Is.
Government mandated services is a crime.
Yes.
If that's the case, then I want the government to mandate that you need to get one of my handmade drawings for $5 on my Fiverr website. Find me at fiverr.com/Ravenfeller. You're all mandated.
That's a good smooth plug.
You're all mandated to go and buy one of my character pictures, black and white, for $5. See, doesn't that sound criminal? Yes, it is.
It is.
It's the same thing. Government should not be able to mandate on any level that you buy someone's service.
Yeah.
But anyway.
So to make it really clear, what we're not saying, here's what we're not saying. We are not saying that you can get to such a euphoric high that you are endangering other drivers and you will get away with it.
Like the pillheads do, right?
Right. If you're
not supposed to be doing that, people taking out mailboxes.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
If you're swerving all over the road, you're taking out mailboxes, you're driving recklessly.
The after effect of your medication is going to make you nod out possibly and take out mailboxes. You shouldn't be driving.
Right. But see,
regardless of what it is.
Well, here's the thing: is that's rare with cannabis. So studies have proven. That
they're actually safer drivers.
Well, here's the thing. We've got conflicting studies. So some studies are saying they're safer. Some studies are saying they're marginally less safe than a sober driver, but 8 times safer than a drunk driver or a driver on pharmaceuticals.
Right.
So here's the deal, is if you are clearly on cannabis and you are taking out mailboxes or you're swerving, which congratulations for having enough cannabis to get that messed up, because that I feel like takes a lot.
Right.
Anyway, if you can't pass a physical field sobriety where you have to walk the line and perform all the puppy tricks that they want you to do, you're likely going to get a DUI for that.
I've never known anyone not to say their
very least-
ABCs while they're high, but it might come out really slow, officer.
Right.
You'll be there for a while.
Right.
A, man, B, dude, C, D, E, yeah.
They'll definitely end up singing it.
H-I-J-K.
So
yeah, it'll end up being entertaining for sure,
Yes.
officers.
Yeah. So if you can't pass the field sobriety test, then you're gonna get a DUI.
The ABC one isn't going to work for you, officers. I'll tell you that one, because the stoners will just have a field day with that one.
We
the
will.
ABC one.
DWI.
The
Yeah.
DW,
Yes.
the DUI, DWI.
Yeah, you will likely get a DWI.
Yes.
If you're driving recklessly.
If you're
We
driving
can't-
recklessly, but that applies
Exactly,
to anything: alcohol, marijuana, pills. They're gonna
yes.
check
Anything.
you, man.
Yes. Yeah. If
That
you're
doesn't take those laws off the books. You
No,
know
it
what I mean?
doesn't.
Our
It
initiative
doesn't.
does not take those laws off
all
the
it
books.
does is protect.
Don't be misled.
All it does is protect us from prejudice based in propaganda. Because
You know what we
propaganda.
need to know, Brittany, is how can we get involved?
Oh, that's a good
Because I'm
question.
pretty active, you know. Like I'm on Baloney Town, and I do audio adverts for Beer 420. Hey guys. So how do we do that? How do we get involved? How do we do stuff?
So we are looking for, we do have almost 300 petitioners across the state of Missouri, as well as permanent petitioning locations. All of those. Yay! We can be contacted through a number of ways. You can contact us through our website at www.cannabisrestorationandprotectionact.org. You can find us online at facebook.com/real legalization. On our website, you're also going to find there's a tab that's labeled related organizations. If you visit that tab, you will find links to every supporting Facebook group and other website that's out there that can help you get in touch with an MCRPA petitioner.
In your area.
The biggest thing you can do at this point in time is actually sign up to collect signatures. We offer free training. We'll teach you everything that you need to know, how to talk about the initiative, how to deal with opposition to the initiative, how to fill out the legal forms. We give you everything that you need.
We explain the truth.
You go to facebook.com/real legalization. Under our events section, you can sign up for virtual training. You can message us at that page as well. If you send us your contact information, we'll get you to a petitioner. If you let us know that you want to train, we'll help you get set up. We're available all over the place. And then our other big one is we need people to make donations. We are a grassroots movement. We do not accept political funding. We do not pursue large donors. We do not have paid board members. We do not have paid people. Everybody's a volunteer, including us. So any donations, even if it's $5, that means next time that Nick and I go on the road, we get to have some lunch while we're out. So $5, hell, we'll take $1. We're good with that too.
Hey, McDonald's.
Anything people can do to help financially.
Hey, and don't forget, in Jefferson City right now, they're doing the haunted house at Twisted Cannabis.
It'll be Thursday and Friday night. Thursday, Friday, Saturday of this week.
Of this coming week, in Jefferson City, Missouri.
Yes.
Twisted Cannabis.
Yes, and then November 14th and 15th.
You can sign the petition there.
Yes, and then
They're a
November
permanent signing location.
November 14th and 15th, we will be at the Holiday Mart in St. Joe, out there talking to all the holiday shoppers, spreading the word with them. We have so many events across the state that it's hard to keep track of them. I know we've got more events in Jefferson. I know we've got some coming up in the Springfield and Southwest Missouri area, Joplin, Rolla, Columbia, Carthage,
Moberly,
Cape Girardeau, Ellisnore, Perryville, everywhere. So again, that's facebook.com/real legalization, the events section. Pay attention to the thread. Make sure to like it and follow it, because we post up in there every day where we're going to have petitioners. And if you don't see somebody popping up in your area, then again, reach out and let us know, and we'll start looking for people in your area. We'll train you, or we'll send a petitioner to your door. We have people in this state willing to drive hours, if they have to, we will find you a way to sign.
Yeah. I would also like to thank everybody. That's already jumped on board. This thing has gotten so big.
It's so big.
And, it is hard to explain the gratitude. We have so many children patients that can't speak for themselves. Baby Autumn, G-Man. These are children that cannot tell you how much your participation means to them.
Yes.
Our initiative, the reason no age limit, is for the children that are sick. We don't want them jumping through hoops to get their medicine. We know.
Dude, and I've seen some of these videos of these kids and what they're going through, man. If you people could see that, and seriously, all those folks that see those little infomercial things of the starving kids in Africa and stuff, that's nothing on what these kids are going through right here in the United States over their medications.
Actually, Autumn,
it's ridiculously disgusting that an organized, civilized, and claiming to be intellectual country as ours is so in the Stone Age for whatever reason on these types of issues. I mean, we really need to pull our heads out of our asses and switch this up, because the facts are there. Okay, you can listen to all the bullshit, but when it comes down to the black and white on the page, the reality is the facts, and the facts is the reality, and it's not all this rhetoric you're hearing on the far right, and far left wing where they're like, own and control. It's not like that.
Actually,
that's all bullshit. All this shit
it doesn't matter.
It's all bullshit.
I'd like to tell you a little bit of Autumn's story. Actually, we need people to understand what these babies go through. So Autumn is just this beautiful little redheaded. I call her my ginger warrior. She's amazing. She's 4 years old.
Been through more than most Americans.
Adults. She's 4 years old. She started having severe seizures at 3 months. She was finally diagnosed with a genetic mutation of her 5-1. Her mom's going to scold me for not remembering that later. Right? Anyways, her condition is called sodium channelopathy. So it causes... Autumn doesn't have daily seizures like some of the kids we hear about. But the seizures that Autumn has last upward of 4 and 5 hours at a time. So from a little less than a year, Autumn's been maxed out on pharmaceuticals. She's on Keppra, Onfi, lorazepam, an entire list of benzodiazepines I can barely even keep track of.
No,
that would kill an elephant.
Oh, yes. No more medical options.
Actually, her combination of daily meds and rescue meds, which are what they give her when she starts a seizure. Now, it's important to know this. Autumn has never come out of a seizure on her own, and her seizures will last 4, 5, 6 hours at a time. And she's always had to receive some sort of a rescue med. And the rescue medications that Autumn was on, causing her to go into cardiac and respiratory failure. So we actually shared just a really disturbing video just this past week that Autumn's mom, our vice president, Chris Gordon, gave to us. And it was a video of Autumn the first night that Autumn died. So for a long time, she had been experiencing those respiratory and cardiac distress symptoms from her rescue meds, and the doctors would work diligently to make sure that she didn't flatline, that her heart didn't stop.
Right.
Until this specific night, when it had gotten to a point, Autumn had been seizing for many, many, many hours, and nothing they were doing was working. And so these doctors maxed her rescue meds and allowed her heart to stop. They let this baby flatline and then resuscitated her to see if it would stop her seizure. So in front of her mom and dad, they killed a 3-year-old little girl, praying that they'd be lucky enough to bring her back to life.
Frankenstein shit on a little kid, man. It's like Auschwitz.
You want to hear something really disturbing?
What the hell?
Autumn flatlined and was brought back to life, still having a grand mal seizure.
Not once.
Not twice. But 3 times. They have killed this baby.
3 times.
They have watched made her parents watch her die repeatedly. When her neurologist and her pediatrician have both very clearly stated that they want Autumn on cannabis. We have written letters from their doctors saying this is what Autumn needs. This is what Autumn needs. And our government and our politicians are ignoring
Nobody will listen.
They would rather let our children die than
and
lose.
Suck all your money out.
Then give them a non-toxic plant that'll work.
Then give them a non-toxic plant that works. Because
They
God
can't
forbid
A
they lose their
neuroprotectant.
control.
Cannabis is a neuroprotectant.
Yeah.
They actually, in other countries...
NFL players would thrive off this.
In other countries, they actually have started keeping cannabis oil in their ambulances because it's such a strong neuroprotectant. So they will administer emergency doses of cannabis oil to recent stroke and drowning or strangulation victims in order to protect against brain damage.
Because those areas of the world have rights given to the citizens of health over money.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's something else that is wrong here in the United States, and we need to flip around. And that in itself would cause a lot of these types of issues to disappear.
Yeah. It is absolutely criminal what's happening.
Yeah.
Anybody,
like I said, it sounds like Auschwitz.
Anybody that opposes this bill has truly not read it, has truly not seen the patients, have truly not seen the great things we can do for our future generations.
You can go to our website, which is, again, it's www.cannabisrestorationandprotectionact.org. And we have a lot of our patient stories on there as well. So we have stories from a couple of our patients who we call them our patients left behind. If anybody remembers the No Child Left Behind Act, well, we're leaving our patients behind. Those patients who don't have the opportunity to refugee.
No voice.
So we've highlighted a couple of those stories for some of our local patients. We've also highlighted success stories of children who we know personally, who are being successfully treated. One of the little boys actually that we talk about there as a success story, his name is Gage. He's actually a Missouri resident. He grew up here, he was born here, and his family is from here. And I can tell you right now that all his family really wants is to be able to come home and to do it with Gage still healthy.
Hug that boy.
Because his family after Gage, he had Dew syndrome epilepsy. He got really sick. The doctors were killing him with pharmaceuticals. They landed him in a coma. And once he came out, his family fled. They moved to Colorado. And Gage is now so happy and so healthy. And this little boy is able to regulate his own medication schedule. He's 11 years old. And he's allowed to go to his mom and say, "Mom, I feel funny. Can I have my oil?" "Mom, I'm really tired today. I think I might need more medicine." Or, "You know what, Mom, I feel really good. I don't need it till later. I'm good right now."
Yep.
Because of the fact that cannabis is safe, and because of the fact that cannabis can't kill you, can't overdose on it, and it's non-toxic. This little boy, unlike many other patients, as a patient, you lose the right to really take your own treatment into your hands with pharmaceuticals because they're so dangerous.
Hands. You should have the right to choose, freedom of choice, man.
On pharmaceuticals, you can't just say, "Well, I don't feel good right now, so I'm going to take this." It's no, you take this pill when we tell you to take this pill, and you do it the way we tell you to do it. And if you skip a pill, you're going to get really sick.
This is what this boy is doing too in Colorado. He has to do what they say with the amount, allowed to them.
Yeah.
There's amount prohibition.
But even Gage is, they've had, it's not been easy to get Gage healthy.
No.
It's a struggle to find caregivers and to find medicine. And now
and
they're
expensive.
Well, and let's look at the fact that now they're back in school session out there. Yeah. And in order to take his medicine, say he goes to school and he's having a bad day, he can't walk into the nurse's office and say, "Hey, I need my medicine." No. He has to go call his parents and be taken off school property in the middle of the school day. So we're holding these kids back from receiving a proper education because we won't let them have medicine in school.
Right.
These are the types of quasi-legalization that the MCRPA is here to fight against. Those are the types of issues we want to stop. We don't want patients to be able to be fired for any damn reason just because maybe at some point this week they used cannabis, which is another thing that was ruled legal in Colorado, is that an employer can fire a cannabis user with no proof that they were high on the job.
People are on all these pharmaceutical drugs and driving and going to work and all this crap, and they're hepped up on freaking man-made lab drugs that are worse than marijuana could ever be. And addictive and all kinds of I mean, I know so many people over my lifetime that have abused oxycodone, that have robbed their grandmother blind over it, you know. And this stuff is legal. You're just like, it just blows my mind, you know, that their poisons are legal and like this natural thing from the earth is so regulated. And
That's
it comes
why it
down
takes
to money.
all of us to fight it.
It comes down to money, and you know, it's really disgusting.
It doesn't.
Disgusting.
It comes down to people willing
to fight it.
To fight it.
Be active.
And to be active and to support it and to be the change they want to see.
Yes.
You know, we keep saying it. We have an amazing opportunity here in Missouri to give our children benefits that we've never been afforded, you know?
We can be the first generation to hand our future generations clean lands.
And good medical care.
Great medical.
And safety. And we can take
Our
back our
doctors
rights
safe.
to
Our
parents.
veterinarians are safe with our initiative. Don't forget pets. We didn't.
Fur
Dude,
babies,
it's like,
man.
Dude, multiple level
the truth.
movement. Yeah.
It's the truth.
So many
The
levels
first
though. It affects
total
so many.
legalization
It affects us on so many levels. You know?
It's economically, environmentally,
Socially.
medically, socially. You know, we hear a lot of people. You complain on one hand about social programs, social welfare programs, and stuff. Well, guess what? This actually. We are opening an entire new industry. We're creating thousands of jobs.
Right.
Creating hundreds of thousands of opportunities.
Yeah.
We're putting people back to work
There's a
by
hole in the
expunging their
industry,
felonies off of their records. We're allowing students
Yeah.
to get better education by not prosecuting them for making bad decisions.
Right.
We're putting patients, restoring their health and allowing them to now be productive
Quality
members
of life
of
that they
society.
can't receive with pharmaceuticals.
Yeah, people with prior felonies. I mean, it's so multi-level. The amount of impact that this would have on our citizens, on our country, and our state.
Cannabis Restoration and Protection Act.
It is, honestly, in my opinion, I don't even think we can imagine how amazing our state could be 10, 15 years from now, after we've gotten a few years under our belts of industrial farming, of cleaning our environment up, of getting our people back to being healthy and back to being functional members of society. It is amazing what we could do with this, and opening up these new industries, helping to fight impoverishment by supplying more jobs and allowing more people to have the chance at working. We're going to be able to do things like fix our school systems, fix our impoverished communities.
The Kansas City school
It's
system
far-reaching.
isn't even accredited.
It's not even accredited. Up where we live, our schools don't have accreditation. So the only way to give your kid a fair shot educationally is to either be able to afford private schools, which are thousands of dollars, or to hope that your kid is one of the lucky few who gets into a charter school. Because the public school system, there's no accreditation. Your kid can graduate from high school there and their diploma is not valid.
What?
Yeah.
Their diplomas aren't valid.
So
They're
what's
not accredited.
the point of going to school then?
Non-accredited colleges will accept you.
Right.
Accredited ones, good luck. Good luck.
At the very least, so in that area of the...
you better have some money, is what they're saying.
Or you could go get your HED or GED, which would be certifiable. But
right.
Your actual, all those years put into high school
Yes.
are worthless.
Are worthless.
That's
Are
ridiculous!
worthless.
How is
So-
that even freaking possible?
So think about this, though. We've got to...
How is that even possible, though?
Think about how
Every
hard
time
it
I
is.
come here,
You're blowing my mind, bro.
Every time.
You're blowing
Every
my
time.
mind.
Think about how hard it is to get our kids and keep them interested in school and get them motivated to keep good grades. And you want to put an entire school district for one of the biggest areas in the entire state of Missouri. You're going to remove our school's accreditation, but then you're going to tell our
But
teenagers,
the population
"Hey, you should go to
in St.
school."
Louis is massive, so
You
that's
should-
a lot of kids with no education
Yeah.
background.
So we're telling these teenagers, "Hey,
Official.
you need to go to high school
Kansas
so that
City,
you can be
sorry.
successful." But it's not actually going to mean anything in the long run. It's just going to occupy 8 hours of your day and give you a shit ton of stress.
Dude, that's
Well,
crazy.
that's going to work. We can't keep kids in the accredited schools who have the future opportunity at scholarships in college. We can't keep them motivated. How the hell are we supposed to convince teenagers to stay in school and not be out on the streets getting in trouble when there's
They're
literally
high
no
school,
point
there's no
of
reason
being
to go there. Right.
Right.
You know?
So
Well,
we've
I'm
seen. So
You're
since
like, what do I do today? Go to school, which isn't going to count at the end of it all?
Exactly.
Or go hang under the bridge and drink a 40 and rob the neighbor's
So
house?
since we lost accreditation, that's exactly what we're seeing is an increase in juvenile crime rates.
Juvenile delinquency.
Yeah.
Which gives them, again, another thing, prison farming.
Prison farming.
Yep.
I didn't even think
It's
about
I
that.
want to
way out of
thank you
control.
for being here, and Brittany, thank you. Nick, thank you.
Everybody
We still
sign
got
up.
Doug here. We've got 100 and some odd minutes left maximum, but
I'm just gonna say-
we've also got Alyssa. What?
Oh,
Go
sorry.
ahead.
Just one last time before I leave. Facebook.com/real legalization and www.cannabisrestorationandprotectionact.org.
And we'll be right back with Alyssa and Southwest Missouri Cop Watchers, as well as a little chit chat about
Is this
tiny
Brittany's
homes.
song?
Yeah. Here's the song for Brittany. Thank you for being here. We'll be right back. Maybe if this song ever plays.
Thank you for having us, man.
Yes, thank you.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. And the song still isn't playing, and we're still talking.
Oh.
People in the chat, thank you for being here in the chat. Remember, like and share. Brittany and Nick. We'll be right back. And Doug. We'll chat with him if you have any questions.
God had long hair and a goatee, and if his eyes were pretty glazed, if he looked spaced out, would you buy his story? Would you believe he had an eye infection? And yeah, God looks baked. Yeah, God smells good. Yeah. What if God smoked cannabis? Hit the bong like some of us. Drove a tie-dyed microbus, and he subscribes to Rolling Stone. When God made this place, in the beginning, did he plant any seeds? Or did he put them there for Adam and Eve? So they'd be hungry for the apple that the snake was always offering. And yeah, God rolls great. Yeah, God smells good. Yeah. What if God smoked cannabis? Do you suppose he had a buzz when he made the platypus? When he created Earth, our home? Does he like Pearl Jam or the Stones? And do you think he rolls his own up there in heaven on the throne? And when the saints go marching home, maybe he sits and smokes a bone.
Marijuana and crack rolled in the joint. 3750. 420 marijuana use. 51 combination of crack cocaine, marijuana, tobacco. A-bomb marijuana cigarette with a heroin or opium in it. Acapulco Gold marijuana from Southwest Mexico. Marijuana. Acapulco Red is marijuana. You know Ace is a marijuana cigarette with PCP in it. Afghani Indica is marijuana. So is African Black, African Bush. And don't forget the marijuana cigarette named African Woodbine. Airhead, Airplane, Alice B, Tokos, marijuana brownie. Amphetamine marijuana dipped in formaldehyde or embalming fluid, sometimes laced with PCP and smoked. Marijuana cigarette laced with some kind of form of narcotic as an amp joint. Angola is marijuana. Are you anywhere? Do you use marijuana? Ashes. Oh, ashes is marijuana after you burned it. Assassins of youth. AstroTurf, Atom Bomb, Astatishi, Aunt Mary. Mary Jane. B, an amount of marijuana to fill a matchbox. B40, cigar lacing marijuana dipped in malt liquor. Baby behind, baby bong, aha, babysitter, bad seed, and bag. A bag is a container for drugs. A baker is someone who smokes marijuana, a bale, and you can use the bale, the bomba, the bombalaka, the bombies, the bambi, the bambino, the babinado, the ball, the bash, the basuco. That's Spanish for cocaine, cocaine residue sprinkled on a regular old marijuana cigarette. The bazooka is a cocaine combination of crack marijuana, crack tobacco, mind the joint, and cocoa paste marijuana. That's a whole lot of words. The BC bud is a marijuana from British Columbia. Meaties is cigarettes from India. Vallejo spruce is a marijuana, so is Mahang. Black one lit to smoke marijuana. Black marijuana, opium, methamphetamine, joint of the black bark, black ganga, black gold, black gungy, black gungeon, black Missouri, black moke. Yeah, high potent marijuana mixed with honey is called a black moke. A black rock, crack cocaine, marijuana cigarette. Don't forget your blanket. It's the public service announcement brought to you by.
First is that if this state of California were to in fact make this marijuana no longer illegal for adults, that is not at all the same thing as condoning it. We don't condone the smoking of cigarettes or the using of alcohol, etc. So to put that label on it, I think is inappropriate. Number two is I have an understanding that today, as we speak here in Sacramento, that there are thousands of people in prisons in the state of California today for doing nothing but smoking marijuana. Thousands in prison for doing nothing but smoking marijuana. Why? Because they're on parole for one reason or another. And once they get off parole for whatever that offense was, if they smoke marijuana, it's a violation of parole, and they're immediately put back into state prison with all of the benefits that they had accrued, getting jobs, etc., supporting their families, being lost. Another one is that the tougher we get with regard to marijuana prosecution, literally, from my experience as a judge, and I have seen this in Orange County forever, the softer we get with the prosecution of everything else. And that is something that we simply have so many resources, and if we're spending them in prosecutions of marijuana, we are not spending them for prosecutions of rape, homicide, etc. Then, marijuana will never put this violence that we heard earlier out of business. All of these statistics that you heard earlier about the violence and the killings of both the police officers and everyone else is occurring under today's system of marijuana prohibition, etc. The only way you put these Mexican cartels out of business and these other violent creatures out of business is to undercut the price, to make it no longer illegal so that you don't have that enormous profit motive to get these people involved with that violence, etc. The only way you do it is to undercut the price, and Assembly Bill 390 is a really good place to start. Otherwise, there are marijuana today that is stronger in our society without a doubt. But the reason why it's out there and stronger is because of marijuana prohibition. That there are lots of people that would much prefer, like you said, not to use the stronger stuff, but the cardinal rule of prohibition is always push the stronger stuff. So if I'm a bootlegger and I run into the same criminal justice problems for selling a barrel of beer as a barrel of bourbon, guess which one I'm going to push? The bourbon, because I make more money. It's the same thing with marijuana. Nothing is going to be legalized in this state. It is a program of a strictly regulated distribution. It wouldn't be legalized. It's a strictly regulated distribution, just like alcohol and cigarettes. Hopefully will not advertise them. Please put into your legislation not to allow this to be advertised. We want to de-glamorize it, not glamorize it. So no advertising, and hold people accountable for their actions. I know I'm going on, but I'd like to talk about children for a couple of minutes, because today our marijuana laws are putting our children in harm's way. We are continuing with this failed program for all of its defects, so-called, because we want to reduce the exposure of a lifestyle of marijuana usage and marijuana selling to our children, and it's doing the opposite. Today, it is easier for our young people to get marijuana than it is alcohol. And if you don't want to listen to me, ask any teenagers you can find. They will tell you that because of alcohol prohibition. Marijuana prohibition, and Reverend Richardson kind of stole one of my lines because it's true, because the illegal dealers do not ask for ID. So let's make it less available for children by regulating and controlling it. Number 2, adult drug dealers will recruit children to sell drugs. They will recruit them into their own drug distribution system. For $50 in cash, you can buy all of the 15, 16-year-olds in the inner city or anywhere else that you want to. It's chump change for the adult drug dealer. It's lots of money for a kid. So you use them as gophers and lookouts and couriers, and as soon as their reliability is established, then they're trusted to sell small amounts of drugs out in the communities. And who do they sell to if they're out there doing it? I assure you, no one in this room. They're going to sell to their 14, 15, 16-year-old peers. That is despicable, and it's caused by drug prohibition. So I say, let's reverse that, let's turn it around, let's regulate it, let's control it, because this prohibition is not working.
All right. And that is a Factro by Green Thumb, and I agree with some of the stuff in there. I don't agree with everything that guy says. And granted, environment is different in the drug scene depending on where you are, what city, whatever. But, I mean, honestly, those serious drug dealers, even in the inner cities where I've visited on the street level, like even Stamford, Connecticut and shit like that, where there is street crime, the drugs that are being peddled, that are being pushed by kids, isn't marijuana. It's like crack cocaine and meth. So for him to make marijuana sound like it's being pushed by dealers to kids like meth and crack is not true. Maybe in some areas of the country, but that's not the norm. The norm is that's the way it is with crack and meth and, pills, the harder drugs that have a higher payback for a lower, overhead. Marijuana is kind of a flatline underground market. It's like it really doesn't matter where you go in the underground to get your marijuana. Depending on the grade, you're looking at the same general price by the gram or by the bag. Unlike like the hard drugs, where I could go to one area of the country and it's going to be flatline way low, so I can go there and get meth, for dirt, and then come over here and make a massive profit for very little overhead. The hard drugs are more like that than, say, the marijuana and cannabis underground markets. They're more equal, yeah, so I don't agree with what he said in there. That A Factro was put together, Green Thumb, and some audio that he got from a representative on the West Coast somewhere talking about pushing some different legislation. And I agree with some of what he said. Other stuff like, the kids pushing marijuana from drug dealer, I don't see that. The other thing is the strict regulation. I don't believe that that's necessary. He was true in the fact of him saying take the interest away from it and no advertising. I believe in that, and I believe in taking the interest away from it, but it's not through regulation. That's not really, putting more regulation on something that's already regulated beyond what it even needs. I mean, to have marijuana even in a drug category list with all the other drugs that are addictive and are life destroying is just ludicrous. So it's obviously a plot. It's it's beyond conspiracy, and it's been proven on multiple levels that that's exactly what it is, and it's on the schedule list on purpose, not for a purpose other than theirs. So anyway, Missouri, Cannabis Restoration Protection Act. Go check that out, dude. Seriously, Removing it as a scheduled substance, period, is the absolute zero. That should be, at the very least, that's where it should be. Is zero on the controlled substance list, which by law of nature in our society and how our law works, would immediately revocate all the other ramifications. So, at the very least, it should be removed from the controlled substance list. And in doing so, would retrospectively unravel all the other BS and all that other red tape that's been created. All for a farm and profit of the people, taxpayers. Freedom of choice of your own body. You know, if I'm crippled or I want to live with it and use cannabis oil to restore my pain, or I go, I don't want to live, put me out of my misery, that's my right. It's my body. I wipe my ass, or I choose if I'm going to live and not wipe my ass. That's my choice. And whether or not my woman wants to wipe my ass. You know, if she doesn't want to wipe my ass, I might go, Doc, just put me out. She's not going to wipe my ass.
Well, for the
just put me out, Doc. She's not going to wipe my ass. That was going to be my only thrill. The occasional poop flinging moment. You've just ruined my life. She's not gonna wipe my ass, put me out of my misery. Or she is gonna wipe my ass, give me some CBD oil, you know, just to relieve the pain, you know. Give me some appetite because I don't feel like pooping where she has to wipe my ass, so I need to get my appetite back.
For the people that don't support it, for whatever reasons they choose, I mean, they should, you know, stop thinking about themselves and think
still
about their
support it.
descendants.
Exactly, for the
would-
other people that
Right.
do need it for a purpose. Yeah.
Right.
So, you know, exactly. And I agree with that. So we're coming up with Alyssa and Southwest Missouri Cop Watchers.
Yes.
And right after this, 2 tracks, more music. I don't want to talk your ears off to the point of no return. So, little music, little more music. We'll be right back. Doug is still here. He's sitting seat with Cannabis Restoration
Sitting pretty.
Activity. He's sitting here. Julia over here is involved in both programs.
She's a
movements.
co-founder of Southwest Missouri Cop
Yeah,
Watchers.
so we'll be right back, talk more about that. Here's some cop songs. Enjoy. And we'll be right back. This is Ryan Kralik. Go find him. Ryan Kralik. Kralik.
Egyptians never walk like that. Seems they pledged their grievance there. Stars line with the Nile's eye. Misocene's grown old and quiet. I gotta get to the Egypt riot. The Egypt riot. The Egypt riot. I gotta get to the Egypt riot. I feel oh so drained and tired. I gotta get to the Egypt riot. The Egypt riot. The Egypt riot.
listening to Beer 420.
Yeah, go look him up. He sends us pictures occasionally of him smoking a doobie. Great guy. What I call folk activism music. It's kind of a folk music activist. It's kind of, you know, and all this stuff is kind of, it's all upbeat.
It has a social
That government is a shit bag. Yeah, they are. They're shit bags now. Yeah, they're fucking shit bags. Anyway, yeah, so we're here with a list of Southwest Missouri Cop Watchers. Yeah.
Oh.
So you're watching the police. You guys got people in the bushes with binoculars and stuff watching the cops everywhere. What is that all about?
No.
I see that on Facebook, and I think that you people are spying on the police department.
No, we stand out in the open and do it. There's nothing illegal, so why would we hide?
Well, that's awesome, dear.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
It's just keep everybody accountable, keep everybody safe. If Springfield refuses to get body cameras, the least we can do is stand out there and record when we see something happening and make sure everybody's safe.
Now, this is kind of an epidemic that's going on throughout the country anyway. It's been really popular. People
It's been going on, but it's just getting
standing
out there.
their ground finally and going, no, you're on recording. No, I have the right to record.
Right.
Are you arresting me? What are you arresting me for? Are you going to be detaining me? Then you need to let me go. What am I guilty of? No, you can't see my ID.
It's an awakening, people standing up for their rights. The people are finally waking up and going, hey, they're being stepped on too much, and you guys are tax-paid government officials. And,
you are tax-paid officials, meaning you are my employee, motherfuckers. You are my employee, not the other way around.
And the city tax you pay, the state tax, and the federal tax
You're
you pay.
supposed to be policing the criminals, not the general public.
Protecting and serving.
Yeah, not serving. Like as in bending people over things.
They have a duty
financially
to be
and or
professional at all
otherwise.
times.
Yeah, you have to be,
No matter what happens.
The
they
way
have to
I
be
see
professional.
police is, I don't see them as they should be above the law. I find them as they should be more accountable for the law. So if they're caught violating the law, they should be punished 2- or 3-fold as an example, because they are a representative of what is
authority.
cavalier, what is the law, what is justice.
We wouldn't keep.
So if you violate that trust,
ignorance of the law.
we should be making more of an example of them, not less, and that needs to happen. And now, so what is Missouri Cop Watchers? I mean, what are you guys? I know you got a movement with the cameras. You're trying to get camera accountability, but I mean, I know I've had chats with Julia about, paying their own insurance so that they think twice before just drawing a gun and shooting somebody instead of tasing them with their non-lethal weapons. Their arsenal of non-lethal weapons that are collecting dust because they're pulling guns instead of using their taser or their mace or their,
it would be nice for them to get insurance, but I would like to try for body cameras first. Insurance would be a more uphill battle, a bigger uphill battle, because then they're going to ask for raises, saying that they can't afford.
Right.
So, I still want to get the body cameras to protect people's lives versus protecting the taxpayers first. And I mean, with the body cameras, it would protect the taxpayers.
And it also protects the officer. That's a
Right,
lot
of
of things.
course.
That's why there's a lot of pro officers that are like, yes, I want a cam, because that guy was specifically lying about what happened at that event. You get what I'm saying? So it protects the officer and it protects the citizen. So it's like a double-edged thing. It helps both sides. So it makes both sides accountable. Is what I'm saying.
Every study I found where they talked to officers, they supported body cameras because it was better than in-car dash cameras, and they felt it helped them do their job better, not only with investigations and getting convictions, but they felt it protected them from some frivolous lawsuit because somebody was ticked off.
No, the dash cameras have been used an example in this situation, actually. In the argument to the benefit of the cameras is that yes, there has been situations on both sides of the fence where a camera helped determine what actually went down.
Right, and
so not only officers have been caught lying, but also citizens have been caught lying, which would have gotten the officer fired or expelled from his area of operation, whatever. So I mean, it's helped both parties.
It does. It helps people.
So it is a good example. You can take present dash cam evidence supports the fact that a camera has helped on both sides of the fence in these situations. So, I mean, having a chest camera would make even more sense. Because if you leave the car, that entity is not moving with you. So, yeah, I'm in full agreement with the cameras. But what else is there to what you guys are pushing? Sorry, I went on a tangent.
No, that's okay. What the main thing the group does is we record encounters with officers. We'll go to court with you and court watch. But one of the main things that I like to push is planting seeds, opening people up. Because for decades we've been brainwashed that officers are heroes just because they wear the badge and the uniform, and they should always be trusted and they'll never do wrong. And I like that a main part of the group is sharing news articles from around the nation of police misconduct or police brutality or overreach or trying to hide something that an officer did wrong. It's to plant seeds to say, hey, these people can do wrong too. You know, just because they pass some tests and they put on a uniform and badge
doesn't make them untouchable.
It doesn't make them a good person.
Right.
You know, and this is America, and we like to hold our tax-paid officials accountable for their duty, right? And when the police do wrong, it's the city and the taxpayers that suffer.
We're paying the bill.
When
the city gets sued, it's our tax dollars getting taken so our kids can't get education. Right, education or parks or
public works, something to help disadvantage in the community.
Right.
I mean, it could have
done better in another area, but instead it's being used to pay off for rights violations and misconduct or whatever the case, So yeah, and I just have to say this, is that I watch the council meetings on the webcast for Springfield. And I noticed that the female on there, I don't know her name, the one with the black hair, she's got black hair and wears a little too much lipstick. Anyway, on more than one occasion in more than one council meeting that I've been observing via the internet, live to everybody in the world to watch, is her stating blatantly, oh, what, they're going to sue us, so what? Join the club. We're getting getting sued isn't who cares?
Well, they get sued more
and I'm like,
times a year.
You're a representative of the city's money. You should care. It blows my mind, and that are just nonchalant about that.
Right.
No,
Are they protecting
they
us,
pass,
taxpayers?
and they pass all this big spending bill on motorcycles and new cars,
$1 million.
Cars that a person that's paying taxes as a citizen in Springfield can't afford, but once in a lifetime, as they trade in their old car. These guys are buying 10, 15 of these new vehicles, and motorcycles are like the price of a house, but they can't have accountability and cameras.
They can't come to car accidents.
Just two of those motorcycles would pay for an entire camera program.
Yep.
Two of those motorcycles. They're unneeded. Unnecessary. There is no tight traffic quarters where motorcycles are necessary to especially when they don't even respond to traffic violations anymore.
Right.
They blatantly said that. We are not... I'm like, well, what the hell are they paying you for? You're not going to traffic violations. You're supposed to be the arm of the law that shows up to validate that neither side is lying. Not show up in court after the fact and say, oh, this is what I took on my iPhone. Oh, this is what I took on my Nokia. Well, he's got a Nokia. The iPhone's obviously a higher quality phone. We're going to take his pictures because it's on an iPhone. Hail Steve Jobs. What the hell is going on? So, I mean... I'm not meaning to put Southwest Missouri Cop Watchers on the spot. I'm just saying that Springfield in general, and with the way that the council handles civil, cases and potential, like with the whole nipple thing, not to squash on your...
No.
But they regulate the boob and then free the pants boner. It just blows my mind that this... It's like... oh my God, we don't want our young boys looking at boobs, but, you know, all the grown man pant boners in the world are okay. I'm like, no, this is not a world full of David Bowies, you know, like, you know, the pants boner. What the hell are they thinking? But I'm just saying that it seems like that though they say in the public spectrum, this is what we're looking out for, it looks like that is the furthest from the reality here, that there are other motivations going on, because why would they allocate X dollars, Y, Z to here nor there? And then that doesn't even touch the over-jailing population problem that they have. They can't even put people in jail. They have no beds.
Right.
Like, they're overpopulated.
Now,
so, like, you know, and that obviously doesn't have much to do with the cop watchers, but I'm saying that there is a bigger underlying problem to the Springfield situation than what is just, you know, apparent to the naked eye if you watch it from all these different angles that even I have seen, you know, just paying mild attention.
It's more than us just going out and videotaping citizen interaction with police officers. This thing really does go a lot deeper and into the construct of city government and where the flaws are there. So in order
we
for us
approach
to
city council about body cameras.
We have approached city council. The media made a heyday out of that, tried to claim that we were at a protest.
That you were protesting, when instead you were more appealing.
Well, because the media did that.
You were more appealing to them instead
this.
of protesting.
We went to the, it was the city hall for this council meeting, okay? When we walked in there was Chief Williams having a meeting with around 20 officers. That is not a place they normally have a meeting. So because the media called it a protest when it wasn't a protest, it was just a few of us cop watchers going and presenting information to the city council.
Right.
He was there prepared with 20 armed men and women to possibly
manhandle
inflict harm on us.
Right.
All because
intimidation.
Right, because of the media. The chief
because of what the media said.
The chief has my personal email,
which is owned by the Chamber of Commerce. You know,
we've corresponded. He could have emailed me and asked what's going on.
This is a Chamber of Commerce corruption, is what we've got going on here. A classic case of Chamber of Commerce corruption.
Now,
is
I
what
want
I'm
to
seeing.
clarify that even though all those police officers were there and everything, they were all very polite.
They
to
sure
us.
were.
Nobody, even gave us a dirty look.
Nope.
Well, because they don't want the feds coming in, because that would shut down their hoedown, wouldn't
But
it?
I mean, they weren't like, usually if they're there for a group.
Yeah, but as soon as there's a rights violation, the feds have an excuse to come in. You get what I'm saying?
I'm just saying that even though
they don't want the feds getting involved in their cookie sale,
they requested to be there because of misinformation through the media.
Right.
They were not acting in any way intimidating.
But that was a Chamber of Commerce move, I'm telling you. They're the ones controlling the local media. They're all on the Chamber of Commerce. They're all butt buddies.
Now,
just like, the whole secret society thing. Well, in communities tight as ours that are small and very religious, it's run by the businesses that bring in the revenue and, to the town. So, I mean, basically what it's coming down to is what those core few are wanting to invest their time and money in. Whether they want their officers on fancy motorcycles that are the price of a house when their friends come and visit them from out of town. See what I'm saying? Versus them pulling you over and being on camera. I mean, it is. It's about priority. It's a Joneses situation that's going on. They're mismanaging the money like, it's a capital gain,
Well, they've just waited out that the officer safety that they could get from the body cameras is not worth the possible corruption that could be exposed. That's the way I see it.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. If they refuse body cameras, then there's corruption because they're hiding something.
Well,
that's my opinion.
And another evidence of corruption that is going on at the very root of Springfield is the fact of the level of corruption that's just been exposed in our county here in Christian and Ozark, which is our county seat.
And all those people work with each other.
Well, no,
or did,
not just that. No, they all came from Springfield.
All from the same.
All those officers were originally Springfield Police Department officers
that were kicked off of the
that moved or what they transferred, whatever have you. I don't know all their stories other than each one.
So that in
named,
itself could be a secret society of little
we're
power
all
mongers.
12-year freaking veteran of Springfield
A
Police
buddies club.
Department, 21-year. I mean, come on.
Now something I think would blow most people's minds. During the Michael Ireland investigation, once they deemed that justified, we decided that we wanted to see how the Springfield Police talked about Michael in their personal emails on the work computer, how they talked about him, how they referenced him, stuff like that. And through that email search, we found a disturbing email from one officer, Matthew Robinson, that he sent to 12 other people. And one of the people that he sent this email to is an instructor at the police academy for the Springfield Police Department. Now I'm going to read the email. I got it here in front of me. He says, today is Friday. And now I'm not going to mention the man that they're talking about. I'm not going to mention his last name. Give him some privacy. But it says, today is Friday, so Cody is calling in. He has already called at about 5 times. He seems to want to know about the Ireland shooting and has been told nothing can be released on this than what has already been given to the media. He has been advised to stop calling unless he needs to make a report. If he continues, please let me know, and I'll contact the watch commander and see about getting him some officer ... parentheses assistance. So Matt sent this out to 12 other people that work for the police department, one being a instructor that teaches officers how to be officers, and he includes his watch commander. So apparently his watch commander is okay with this type of violence. So that's 13 people here that seem to be in an environment of violence towards citizens that are asking questions, and that's legal to do. We had another case. A reporter with Photography is Not a Crime came, and he went to speak to the police department. He talked to 2 detectives outside. After he was done with his interview, he walked to his car, which was parked a few blocks away, which I can understand. The police are very intimidating around here sometimes, and so I can understand parking away. So he walks to his vehicle, and the detectives are writing a report on this. And in the email, I get this report, and it says that they followed him back to his car. They identified his car. They took down his license plate number. They gave a description of the person that was sitting in the passenger seat, and then they proceeded to try to follow him home, all because he was asking questions about one of their officers killing a man within seconds while he was laying on the ground unarmed. So another good reason to get them body cameras is there apparently seems to be an element of violence in the police department.
A culture of it.
A culture of violence.
And of
like
intimidation.
Fight Club.
And of intimidation. I mean, that
no one talks about Fight Club.
We don't know what that assistance, in quotation,
right,
could be. That could just have been a bullying, verbal bullying.
Right.
That could be busting in the door
Broken
and
legs.
searching the freaking house to try to find
stalking him.
Maybe it's a blanket word. Anything you deem necessary.
Well, they
Assistance.
apparently needed to talk to their watch commander to figure out what type of assistance to give them.
That's crazy.
It's horrible and
it's corrupt. It sounds like the mafia to me, not a police force paid by taxpayers. It sounds like a mafia.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we're gonna follow Jones and find out where the hell he lives.
Why would he question us?
Oh, you know what, Jones? I tell you what. I see that you got a nice little house here and a cute young daughter and a nice wife. You know right where you live, Mr. Jones.
Well, see, now all because he was being a good
fascist.
citizen,
That's
a
fascist.
good citizen asserting his rights of asking questions about what taxpaid
Right.
government officials have done.
Right.
His name is now in a record.
Of course, now he's a terrorist because he asked a question.
In the police department. All because
fucking terrorist for being a taxpayer that wants to know where their money's
going.
going. God damn it.
No.
Freaking fascist
Now,
bullshit.
the police...
We're worried about Nazi Germany, and we've allowed our government to become like Nazi Germany.
Now,
basically, this regime of control tactic leadership that we pay to be in power. So they've got the ultimate laugh. That's why they're laughing. They're like, He's paying me to be here and make his life fucking miserable. That's what I'm getting paid for. You know, like, really?
Now, the police chief told us that he would take body cameras. But the body cameras that he has picked is the most expensive one out on the market when he doesn't need it.
Right.
He wants a camera for every one of his officers when he doesn't need it.
Right.
He wants to spend $1,000 when all he needs to spend is $500 per camera. Even the park rangers for the parks in Springfield have body cameras.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know
and
that.
they just patrol parks.
When did they start doing that?
Oh, just a few years ago, I believe.
But that's great, though. You walk up on vandalism or whatever, you
Right.
got it on tape. You're like, you don't even have to take out a phone and snap and document. You're just like, nope, here I am. Look
Another
at this
good
shit.
point. He doesn't care about
Ugh.
conviction rates over the possibility of corruption being exposed.
Well,
So,
the police also don't think about the service tool that a camera could provide. Like, again, they don't have to pull out phones to video document anything or snap photos of a scene. They can just walk up and here it is.
A good police
look at
department
this here.
knows that.
Look at this there. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
A
A good police department recognizes the benefits.
Right.
And
Yeah.
they're the ones that have already gotten the damn cameras.
Right.
Without their citizens having to ask city
Now-
council or ask anybody. They went, oh my gosh, look what's going on in this country. And they went out and got cameras.
Now, I
Yeah.
heard that there are communities that have gotten rid of their community police entirely and replaced it with a security service that they're like police, but they only go out to, they don't go out to harass and generate money. They go out to a situation.
They only, you get what
I'm saying?
If they're called. They're like
A
firemen.
wreck, a public dispute, you know, they go to keep the peace, and that's it. That's it.
Security guards,
They're-
not code enforcers.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. They're not the Gestapo. They are literally a type of emergency service.
Which is what the police
Right.
should be.
Right.
Yeah, police should be a safety service, like a paramedic, you know. That's how we should look at police. And we expect that our paramedics aren't jacking themselves up with the meds and they're freaking, you get what I'm saying? So, I mean, that's the thing that people don't understand is that, okay, police are supposed to be here on this pedestal where we have them in our minds. But if the ones that are caught in the act of violating human rights or, you know, whatever the case may be, shows more and more an example to other cops that could potentially become sour, that they can also do it and get away with it at least once.
Right.
You know, very much like the whole serial killer thing, you know. You don't want to promote the serial killer and talk about his name on radio and make him famous. You get what I'm saying? It's like the reverse effect. You're kind of promoting that kind of behavior now. If you see that they're not getting punished, they're actually getting famous, then what happens? You've got more situations
They're getting
with the cop
fundraisers
shooting
for 'em,
cases
giving
and
them
the.
$500,000.
You get what I'm saying? Like, our town's poor. How can we get CNN and NBC and Fox and blah, 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 and all their big New York money here and spend it in our community for 8 months, you know?
Right.
So now they're like creating a situation and some guy's writing a book and becoming famous, you know? It's like, you know, we're hyping all that kind of shit up and not holding them accountable. It creates more monsters, you know? So that's how I look at that, is that if we don't hold them more accountable, then they'll keep violating, and it's a trust position. But my stance is this. I've worked in a lot of jobs, and it doesn't matter what the job. You got people that go to work just to get a paycheck. You got people that go to work to break boundaries, you know, and bring their company into the next age of evolution. They're a company man or woman, whatever. Then you've got your other people that are stealing, looting, taking advantage, leeching the system, you know, not even really there doing work, they're just getting a paycheck, you know. So you have that in every job, every career, you've got your perverts, you've got your squares, you've got your freaking nerds. I don't care what job it is. You've got one of those sociotypes in your place. You probably got a person in your place of work that's into, child porn and shit. You're not going to know. But I'm saying every walk of life, we can't just assume that because they've got this title, they're untarnished. Any possibility of having a tarnished anything because of their title or status. Yeah, I mean, it is not possible. I'm sorry, but there are very few perfectly balanced people that can handle the type of violence police have to handle and still maintain that civility and not become bitter and calloused.
It's a position of authority, and positions of authority do tend to attract bad people.
Well, yeah.
Not all of them, but then when you don't have accountability and you don't kick out those bad people, you just keep adding more and more bad people.
Right.
Doesn't matter if you got 100 good that come in, if you got 2 or 3 bad that come in, and those 2 or 3 bad stay.
Right.
And the good ones leave because they're tired of the corrupt system.
Like a school that caught their coach doing something.
Right.
A school that catches a coach doing something with the kids. The next time they hire a coach, they're going to be more thorough as to who they hire as a coach. But that still doesn't say that coach isn't a frickin' pervert and just never been caught yet. So that's what I'm saying. With the human factor, there is no absolute. You don't know that someone's not going to, go one way or the other.
We can fix that in the police accountability movement. The more and more of us are doing this, and we need more and more to keep wanting accountability and wanting them to have more mental evaluations. I would love to see, and I would be okay with my tax money paying for officers to see a therapist once a month. Mandatory. Have to see a therapist. Now, they can choose to see a therapist, but they're not going to choose to see a therapist because all their buddies are going to find out that they're seeing a therapist. So if you make it mandatory
for everybody, then it's not a browbeat situation.
These officers
he's going to therapy. Jones can't handle it, and he's getting picked on in the locker room.
Not only would it
so now those that need it can get it without getting singled out because everybody's getting it.
It's mandatory,
and you don't know what goes on when that door closes.
Not only would it help the citizens, it would help the families because if you look at statistics, officers are twice as likely out of any profession to go home and beat their wives and beat their kids, to commit domestic violence. And I believe it's because of how stressful their job is, and they have no other release other than alcohol. So if Missouri passes cannabis legalization, the next step for my group is to lobby the state government and make sure that our police have the opportunity to use cannabis if they choose to without being fired.
Right.
Because I think that
would be amazing, man. Cannabis would solve a lot of because any high anxiety job, I mean, I would say almost that should be a requirement offer, to any employee of a high stress job.
Right.
Whether you're a high stress sales agent,
when their only release is alcohol, and when you're violent and angry, it makes it worse.
Right.
So if we give them cannabis, it would calm them down, and I believe it would help with the domestic assault statistics
issues.
For the law officers. Yes.
That and a good hobby.
Yes.
That and a good hobby, which can be inspired by your cannabis.
I would say cannabis itself is a hell of a hobby.
Right.
I mean.
Oh yeah. You could be a cannabis hobbyist. Hey, there's Officer Jones. He's a cannabis hobbyist.
You should see the plant he has in his backyard.
It might revert him back to the friendly neighborhood officer.
I love Officer Jones! Officer Jones is awesome!
Exactly.
Man, he's got a hell of a sativa strain. But yeah, so that's interesting. That's something I haven't heard before. So, pro de-stressing on cannabis and cannabis oils. So, between Missouri Cannabis Restoration Protection Act and Southwest Missouri Cop Watchers, we could not only have a less stressful society, but a more productive and abundant society. And like we were talking about is the industry with marijuana at that point. I mean, even then you would end up with pot therapists that they would have and, like some kind of nutritionalist that they, a pot nutritionalist. I mean, it would create so many more jobs and it would fill this vorpal hole of jobs where there's a big hole right now.
Right.
And your average American... A reason a lot of our dirt jobs are taken by immigrants foreign immigrants is because they're jobs that Americans feel are below them. But you would find a lot of teenagers suddenly finding interest in farming. You get what I'm saying? And they'd be like, no, man, I work on Jones's pop farm outside of town, man, you know. Yep. Nope, we make rope. That's what we do. We make rope.
The main
It's
thing
being
I
used
love
everywhere.
about the trying to get cannabis legal in Missouri is it would end a lot of encounters that citizens have to have with officers.
Right.
It would just end them.
It would just be gone. It would be
be
like
gone.
a big, like...
There'd be no
It would be like
opportunity.
taking a piece of paper that's been cluttered with noise and pollution
There'd be-
and just like...
There'd
wiping
be
it out.
no
You got like a
opportunity
nice...
for somebody to get angry and violence to erupt between an officer and a citizen because the
Right.
encounter's just gone.
Right.
It's never going to
There's
happen.
no worry about the searching. There's no worry about it being contraband. There's
And
none of that stuff.
I think the drug war has really helped to turn society's view against police because now they see them more as a predator. Because a lot of people have family members or know somebody
That has
has
been
gotten
preyed
busted,
upon.
right, by the police.
Right.
So I think it would help.
Which
turn-
again comes to mob mentality, mafia, like roughing people up like a strong armor. I mean, that's like mafia strong arming, but in our homes, not knocking on the business doors down the street. They're now knocking on our homes, going, no, what the, get the hell off me. I pay for you, asshole. You're my employee, and you're out of line, and you're lying right now. And if you were wearing a security cam, you wouldn't be trying to break the law and violate my rights at this moment in time.
Well, I think the one thing, there's like this one lie that this whole war's been based on.
Right.
And what is so cool about this is our act here will eliminate that lie, whereas no other legalization thing ever has.
Will, right.
And it's not a toxic plant. It is not a controlled substance. It's a plant.
Right.
That the lie is, hey, this is a dangerous, poisonous plant. It's toxic.
And it's a blatant lie. You can find so much research counteracting that by scientists. That's the thing. I said, I posted this on my Facebook the other day. I said, you know why not many kids are getting into science and biology and research and, all these like advanced like types of sciences and stuff is because A, they have moral code, they don't want to sell out, and they know if they don't sell out, any of their research is going to be debunked by whatever big company wants to make up a real, a lie about it.
Right.
So, like, my real research about cannabis looks like a bunch of bullshit because the big corporations are lying all over the media and barking like Chinese loudspeakers of propaganda, all these lies and bullshit and frickin'...
Well, they can probably get more names with more initials to sign that document than yours. So
right.
Then theirs automatically is
right. Theirs is right. Theirs is right. Mine's wrong because, it's not being blasted over the propaganda box.
Right.
It's not on the propaganda machine. It's not true. And that's my other argument. I don't believe that any person that wanted to run for president should ever have to pay a frickin' dime to be heard on television, media, news, any of that. That should all be free. The community votes you in, you have it broadcast locally for that.
Government
After that, the next phase, those communities come together for the next level of the vote, and it broadcasts all that. You get what I'm saying? And they all get free, equal exposure. It's not a money game then. It's now ideas. Action.
I believe Seattle just passed that. To where that they were going to allot so much money to each person that wants to run, and they all have that same amount of money. They can't get outside contributors to contribute to their campaign. They just passed a law. I believe it's Seattle. I really
that would
do.
Be awesome, Seattle.
Yeah. It would be.
It makes me.
That's kind of taken it in another direction. Mine was more like all the stations, broadcast networks, anything that's got public attached to it. So like public radio, public access television.
No more selling it to CNN.
Any of that, any of those.
Yeah.
It's all broadcasted free, blah, blah, blah. And then any networks that want to pick it up can pick it up and broadcast it free. But there's no money fucking involved.
Right.
If you want to, you can't be CNN and I'm holding supreme privilege over who's going to view this shit because I'm CNN and I own all the footage because I bought this event. Like, no. That should be free to everybody. Nobody should have to pay a fucking cent. And anybody that wants to broadcast it should be able to broadcast it.
Well, I remember when I was a kid.
That's the way politics should be, period.
You and I were talking about this when we were having that particular conversation, is the fact that, when I was a kid, the debates came on. That was all that was on. It was
every damn channel. You couldn't.
Every channel, and they were not.
They weren't paying for all that to be aired. No, that was free to the world.
And it was. There was nothing else to watch. It was the debates.
Free to the nation, broadcasting of the true candidates and what's going on, and nobody got ixnayed from the stage. Whoever was there was there, and then it just moved off. They got picked off as they went, and and it was all. There was no money involved in that.
Well,
they all got equal exposure.
Ill-informed nation is more easier to control.
Yeah, exactly. It's all part of the dissimulation crap.
Well, at one point we had equal access laws to where if you were a network and you gave a candidate X certain amount of time, well, you'd have to make sure to offer that same amount of time to
the other candidate.
So we at least had that going on, but that has gone the way of the dodo since.
Well, that's what they redid. They passed something for broadcasting, and they made right-wing radio air left-wing stuff on there now. So, like, certain hours of the day, it's all left-wing stuff. And where they couldn't find people to do left-wing shows, they made up their own to make left-wingers look frickin' totally retarded. So they made up their own left-wing shows, the right-wingers did. To fill the slots.
Qualify as the balance.
But, yeah, exactly. Even though it's all subterfuge to make left-wingers look dumb.
Well, I tell you what, this is, the Missouri Cannabis Restoration Protection Amendment.
Which is bipartisan.
Okay, let's go on that.
It's a bipartisan.
I've got a lot of friends from the right and from the left, and this is a unifying issue.
Yeah.
People kind of drop their stuff, and it's like, let's work together and get this done.
Yeah.
It's happening.
We've had older folks sign, and we've had real young folks sign. Young families sign, to vets sign. Everybody has wanted to sign.
Yeah,
it's good. It's
amazing how non-divisive this is, except for that select few, and except with established thought, as far as our public policies. But excited to be working with this, because the one thing I look at myself in the mirror at the end of the day and hang my hat on and all that, take it to the bank, is this true or not? I mean, I don't want to be working for a lie. I don't want to be working for a bullshit thing. This is boiled down.
It's as real as it gets.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it just takes and it hacks
all these other bills trying to take your guns, trying to take your rights, trying to tax the crap out of you, trying to big pharma own everything. It's all lies and subterfuge. If it is not the Missouri Cannabis Restoration Protection Act, then it's a big pharma bill that's trying to be pushed so that they can own and control everything like they do in Colorado, which is also a lie. Cannabis isn't free in Colorado. It's all locked down. It's controlled by big pharma in the guise of dispensaries. And then they just cracked down on the dispensaries where they didn't need a permit and all this shit. And then all of a sudden went, oh, well now you got to be a certified blah, 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 blah to be even able to sell those things in your dispensaries now. So then they slapped all this other shit on the dispensaries all over again to get more and squeeze more money out of them because they only got their first run of money. They wanted to get another bulk of money.
Right.
So, it's just disgusting. And what it is money over life. And it's disgusting. And all the people that push that concept, I'm sorry, I'm not a KKK member, but I would say these are the type of shitbag scum heathens of the earth that would need to be drugged from the dark corners of the recesses of our community and hung and burned in the town square in a tree. But that's just what I had to say about it. That's my opinion.
I wouldn't go quite
If you go back to the Wild West, that's what would happen. If this kind of crap was done in your small community, the posse find out this kind of shit was going on to their community, that would end real quick. The posse would be called out and be like, these guys are scumbagging the town. All right, we'll take care of this.
Well, I sympathize with what you're saying, man, but
Anyway, did I go extreme there? I don't want to kill anybody.
Some of the legalization,
right.
fingers in the air here, quotation marks, things that have a lot more strings attached, a lot more regulations, taxation, what have you. I don't know about the true intention of those. I don't know if they're meant to be corrupt, but the end result is it ends up shifting things that direction. It ends up kind of
pushing it toward corruption. Right. That industry. Cartelling it, yeah.
Keeps it out of the people's hands and corporations.
Which is what, again, what I think is just, totally freaking awesome about this. It's legalization for everybody in Missouri on this.
Which is why they've nicknamed it the tomato bill. Some people joke and call it the tomato bill because it's basically making the plant like a tomato. And just like a merchant, if you're going to merchant the tomato, then there's going to be tax and all that as a merchant. But if you're growing the tomato in your backyard, don't worry about it.
Well, as time goes by, we get things thrown at us that are intended to, they are intended to be insults or derogatory, and we've kind of taken this tomato thing.
Yeah, that actually applies.
Exactly. Thanks for the tip.
Thanks for the tomato bill idea. We love it. Because tomato isn't a vegetable. It's a fruit. It's not what it appears to be. And neither is cannabis. It's kind of one and the same. Cannabis is not a plant. It is a vegetable. Or what is it called? The specific herb. Yeah. With healing, redeeming qualities. And the stalk can be used in textiles and oils for fuels. And I mean, you could take one hemp plant, make some fabric out of it, squeeze the juice, get some oil for your lantern. Yeah, I mean that one.
For living in Tornado Alley, that hempcrete would save a lot of lives.
Oh man.
Oh yeah.
Even hemp in the ground growing as crops, it just like permeates the soil. So it makes it harder to rip up and erode, and
it would stop.
It stops erosion.
And along those lines, I was thinking about this the other day. As far as flooding, we seem to have a lot more instances of flooding lately.
Right.
If cannabis was planted, perhaps as an
erosion
control thing. Sure. And you've got floods that come by. They're inundating areas where cannabis is planted.
The cannabis is going to suck it up.
Kind of a water purification.
It would. It would.
I don't know this, but I was just speculating. I think it's
well,
such
that
an
makes
amazing
perfect
plant.
sense. And if you look into it, Southwest Missouri and Northwest Arkansas has a lot of chicken farms and chicken factories where they process it. And there's towns that are near where these people dump the chicken crap on these acres where they're getting cancer. So their land's getting polluted from this arsenic in the chicken crap. It's getting into our creeks. The reason why we have so much algae in our creeks in Southwest Missouri is because of the chicken runoff from the farms.
Well,
so
this could be used to remediate some of the effects of these chemicals. Wow.
Yeah. It would help,
That's
and so
crazy.
it would work to help our farming, our farms. Yeah.
The kids love farming because fresh vegetables and fruits are the best candy.
Well, it probably would get younger people, 18 and up, interested in farming, and that would be great. Get them interested in local foods and stuff like that.
Local foods!
Well, it'll sure add an immense value to just agriculture.
Right, in general.
They might actually start
it could
caring
save
about
a dying industry that's been squeezed out by big...
We've had some interest in a few of our meetings by even a local branch office of John Deere. They want to bring presentations of, equipment that they sell that could be used to harvest hemp. They want to get in on the act.
Oh, nice.
Maybe not as
nice.
an entire corporation.
Like John Deere, they're talking about, hey, we're offering to design harvesting equipment.
Exactly.
And, dude, that's amazing. Yeah, John Deere. What do you say, kids? John Deere.
Not all of John Deere.
Right.
I'm sure they would get into it once it would be legal.
Oh yeah. If wherever it was legalized, there's harvesting equipment's harvesting equipment.
Right, and somebody involved there seems
right. Yeah, potential. Yeah, he's like, dude, we could provide the only harvesting equipment. Oh,
First ones to gain.
Right, at least.
Better specialized.
There's more tax money for the government there. Selling
That's
that
crazy.
equipment.
So they would figure out how to harvest stuff right off the. Dude, I get tickle bumps. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Just to get kind of emotional about that, that could be the one thing for John Deere that keeps them from maybe closing their plants.
Right. Yeah, right. True. Now, back to Southwest Missouri Cop Watchers. Yeah, love the cannabis conversation though. So, guys, join the cannabis conversation and go and find the groups. Again, back to the Cop Watchers. What is this about the light policy?
Oh, well, that goes back to the Michael Ireland case. Recently, they just settled out of court with the family. City has to pay $250,000 to the Michael Ireland family.
The standard shut up fee.
Right.
The standard shut up and go away fee.
This is a case that the prosecuting attorney and Springfield Police Department deemed justified. That their officer was justified in killing Michael within seconds while he laid on the ground. Now, I approached Chief Williams because I feel that a deciding factor in Officer Bath saying he was so scared he had to shoot Michael was Officer Bath refused to use. He's trained to use light sources, flashlights, the light on his taser, the light on his gun, his duty weapon. He's trained to use those. Now on the taser, he purposely shut that taser off before his shift even started. His taser light was shut off. Now, and he couldn't get that turned on in time. You got to do like 13 clicks. It would have taken too long. But when Officer Bath switched over to his duty weapon, which has a flashlight on it that you can turn on with your index finger, so you can turn it on real quick with one flick of your trigger finger, and he didn't use it.
So wait, these devices have timer lights on them?
No. With the taser, you can flick a button and turn. Your light will come on when you go to activate your taser. He had it set to where the light would not come on at all when he shot somebody and the taser is being activated. Now he's working a nighttime position. I don't know if that was his full shift was always nighttime, but for that moment.
Now when you say that a light, meaning
like a little flashlight.
Like a flashlight.
You fire the weapon, the light comes on.
Yeah.
Right, it's a flashlight on the taser.
So what's the point of the light being on or not? What does that have to do with anything?
Officer Bath said that Michael was reaching for his waistband. He was reaching for what he thought was a weapon. Even though Michael had no weapon on him, common sense says you don't reach for something that isn't there. Now, if you had, and you can still find this online, Officer Bath's interview with Detective Shipley. Officer Bath says Michael's position was like he was doing a sit-up because Michael's laying flat on his back.
He just been tasered.
He had just been tasered. So once the taser stopped, he went to sit up. So imagine you're laying on your back. You stick your arms in the snow. You stick your arms in front of you to use your arms as weight to pull yourself up so you can sit up. And because Officer Bath did not use his light, it was 10 o'clock at night. There was not a lot of light in that backyard. There was definitely no direct light on top of them. He shot Michael for reaching for something that wasn't there. Now, Officer Bath, if you look at his taser records, had used that taser many, many times. Many times that taser has been activated, and he's had training using tasers. In that little alleyway there, he said one of the reasons why he shot Michael was because he couldn't back up. He had no area to retreat. But if you look at the pictures that we got from the investigation and you find out the specs that his taser wires are 15 feet long, he could have backed up and retreated to hide behind the house instead of shooting. Now, this is where body cameras come in. We really wanted body cameras for this because this would have told us if it was justified or not. The gate was, it was shut and it had snowed, but he never tried to open up the gate. Even with his free hand, he never tried to open up the gate. And the gate is actually 3.5, 4 inches away from the post. So the gate's not,
even
as
latched
long.
into
Right,
the
it's
other.
not latched,
Right.
it's not locked, and he didn't try to move it at all. Now, a discrepancy we found while going through the Michael Ireland investigation was Bath says he shoots Michael, and the taser light on his gun, the red dot, says that he shot him in the chest. He said he never took his eyes off Michael. After he shot him, he opened up the gate, never took his eyes off Michael. Michael coughed up blood, and his hands went down and away from his waist. So he's trying to back up that story that Michael was reaching for his waist. So in Officer Bass's own words, Michael's hands went down away from his waist when he was shot in the heart. When he died, his hands were down away from his waist. But every picture of Michael that we have dead on the ground where he was shot, his hands are way above his head. And no officer reported, in the 13, 14 officers that made a report, no officer reported moving his hands to above his head. So there is a conflict there. How can you not investigate this?
How can you be dead with your hands up when the
How
last
can you
thing
say this
said
is
before you were
justified?
shot was hands down?
Yeah, how can you say this is justified?
It
when
sounds
there's a
like the
clear
whole thing is a
discrepancy?
contradiction to me. Like, this kid just wanted to kill somebody and saw that Michael was, a miscreant or an undesirable or whatever,
Actually,
and pointed him out or something.
I don't think it's quite like that. He was on the team and really close to that guy, Officer Pearson, that was shot.
That was shot in the face.
That was shot in the face. He had already put in his 2 weeks' notice. Was planning on leaving police work altogether, which he has. He now works in the some South state, in a furniture store. He's left the police force completely. He was planning on doing that. So I honestly think that he had not received the required psychological treatment after a member of his team had been critically injured.
Was injured, right.
And critically injured. He's forced to retire and is going to have issues his entire life. So he wasn't given proper, medical attention for a trauma like that. He was allowed to continue to work his beat after his 2 weeks.
So you're saying
for
it was a
this.
PTSD thing?
And then because he freaked out in that moment of panic and shot Michael, he then tried to cover it up with the story.
Right.
Right.
Of that he was reaching.
And you can put the fault back on the department for not having the proper kind of psychological backing for our officers.
Right.
This kind of stuff wouldn't have happened if, and as soon as Officer Pearson had been shot, they were basically, the whole force was descended upon by doctors going out, like they do at schools.
I mean, if
When
there
a
are
kid
independent citizens out there shooting people without warrant and justice, and there was question about it, they would be hanging that independent citizen from the highest tree.
Even through
so
the PTSD
I'm just saying
and the
that
fear,
this
if he
needs
had
to be
used his
equally
light,
accountable.
it could have avoided the whole
Right.
situation.
Oh, yeah.
It took 2.5
If he had had
minutes
therapy,
for backup to
he had
come.
already put in his 2 weeks. A therapist would have said, "No, just take your 2 weeks now."
Right, or at least
go to,
put him in
on
desk
desk duty, or
Yeah.
which could have saved him his job. And
Now, I wrote
Right,
to Chief
somebody's
Williams.
life.
Yeah.
I wrote to Chief Williams, and we were having a conversation, and I presented, would you be interested in changing Springfield Police policy on officers that work nighttime positions to where it's mandatory that the light on their taser has to be active. They can never shut it off. And mandatory, and where they would get more punishment if they didn't use their lights, if it's found out that they didn't use their lights. Because it could have avoided this whole lawsuit. It could have avoided the loss of life, the bad publicity that it brought to the police
shadows
department.
in the snow in the winter, dude. I mean, shadows play tricks on you in the
I mean,
snow.
common sense, it's
even
nighttime,
here, but
you're
I grew up in
outside.
the north of Maine. Shadows play tricks on you, like mirage.
Now,
mirage
Bath,
shadow tricks.
Officer Bath broke policy.
Right.
Their foot pursuit policy says that if you are pursuing a criminal and you lose, what's the word I'm looking for?
Sight.
Immolation. You lose light. Okay? So if you lose your light source and you can't see during this pursuit, you're supposed to end the pursuit. So Officer Bath choosing not to use any of the 3 lights that he had on him, that right there should have meant that he ended that foot pursuit.
Right, exactly.
Well, one thing somebody brought out earlier, kind of a trip word for me, especially, hey, gotta be talking about cannabis all the time.
Oh, that's
but
fine.
The PTSD. I mean, this is serious, and this is where we're planning.
We would
on
lobby
reaching
for
out
the
to
police to
some
be able to use it during
local
PTSD.
veterans groups. Police agencies go through much the same kind of stress and things that the military people do.
Oh, well, yeah. I know that they see horrible, horrible things. Just going through those autopsy photos of Michael Ireland and the investigation, I felt so horrible, and I can only imagine what the police, how they feel, and what they bring home. You know, so I would want them to be able to use cannabis, and I would try to lobby my government to make that available to them.
Well, from what I understand, and you know, I can't quote you reports or anything, but as far as PTS goes specifically, cannabis has been found to be a very effective relief for the stress and anxiety the guys, you know, men and women are experiencing, you know, if they have that.
And it keeps them from going to alcohol, which they think helps, but makes it worse.
Well, given the suicide rates we're looking
Right,
at,
yeah.
Also the rates of you know, domestic abuse with law enforcement families. Can we just say that this is crazy or just ludicrous that this is not available to these kind of people to keep from suffering the ravages of PTSD and possibly, you know, dying as a result?
Well, I just recently read a study that talked about how they are finding that people that do not have cannabis in their system are more susceptible to getting PTSD. That having that level, those levels proper in your brain, like you're supposed to,
it's like a prevention.
Because you produce
you're not producing those chemicals in your brain when those traumatic things happen that cause you the brain damage for the PTSD and the freaking out and all of that. You don't get it because it's protecting your brain.
We get sued all the time, so what?
Damn Paul Necky.
All right, we're down to 23 minutes. Alyssa, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And Doug, thank you. We'll be right
I
back.
look forward to
We'll
coming
chit-chat before we end the show, but I want to thank you for being here. This is a song, Police Brutality Rap for Eric Gardner. What's this about?
It's about the Eric Gardner death. He was the man in New York that broke up a fight. You know, he actually did something right. He broke up a fight, but when the officers came, there was an undercover plainclothes that accused him of selling little loose cigarettes. So he cheated the government out of a few pennies. And they used pretty much a legal chokehold. They don't call it a chokehold, but they put pressure on your carotid artery to make you pass out. But he's such a big man, they should not have used that, and that's why we need to change policies in police. It ended up killing him. All the weight of 4 or 5 men that
didn't get his lungs going again.
Right.
They suffocated
They
him.
suffocated him. He passed out, and then they had their weight of 4 or 5 grown men on top of a man that's already
so that he couldn't
400
expand
plus
his
pounds.
lungs to breathe.
Yes, and they have
And
a
it killed
habit.
him.
They have a habit of killing big people like that by putting their weight on them and
Right.
using those type of chokeholds.
They're already barely breathing with all their weight on them.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, anyway, here it is, and we'll be right back. 21 minutes left.
I'm my business, officer. I'm minding my business. Please just leave me alone. I told you the last time. Please just leave me alone. Hold on. Don't touch me, please. Do not touch me.
Put your hand behind What's up, Sonoma, California? It's your boy Atrocious. It's a Bomb Nation Cypher contest. I'm late, but I'm still dropping it. Fuck it. Fuck the police. I seen this video the other day. Fat boy broke up a fight. Cop king got in his face. A racist and impatient type. Our nation doesn't see the light. Cause nowadays cops are pigs. Black season take his life. Individual God is now gracing him. Went up to the heavens, got a cloud house that he's stationing. A visual or ridiculed over time, there's a mindset. Cops killing innocent people, then say, well, the monsters, you know. I'm not the only one that stands against you. You know that everyone is here for an adventure. Destiny doesn't always operate how it should. The testimony that takes away from all calm and good. Realize it can change in an instant. It can change for the worse. It get you out the corner, you're pinched in. For those 5 cops that killed that man, that gave him a seizure, that led to him dying, you're the reason I'm trying to get my message out. Put our people on a better route. Distinguish the meaning between bullshit and real message sounds. I better get more time for writing this rap than all 5 of those cops will for killing that man in Staten Island. In Staten Island, Staten Island. In Staten Island, Staten Island. In Staten Island, Staten Island. Raise your hands up, then they kill a man for trying. Broke a fight up, cops killed him, now he's flying. Raise your hands up, then they kill a man for trying. Broke a fight up, cops killed him, now he's flying. You know, I'm not the only one that stands against you. You know that everyone is here for an adventure. Destiny doesn't always operate how it should. The testimony that takes away from all calm and good.
How many times must I tell you Beer 420 could cost you your job, your wife, your kids? Well, on some levels, yeah, I guess, life would get a little better, you're right. You're listening to Beer 420.
Nations poised for battle to fight the final war, a push for one world order. The people in the pathways will surely be destroyed. Can't stop the one world order. Can't stop the one world order. Brainwash the population, destroy the currency of any opposing country. Noble the politicians, just like old English rule, subservient to the leaders. The poor are poorer still, lost in the dreams they had, lost to the one world order. Can't stop the one world order. Brainwash the population, destroy the currency of any opposing country. Brainwash the population, destroy the currency of any opposing country.
You're listening to Beer 420.
Oh yeah. Doug's here with us.
I'm the only one
What
left.
do you got to say?
Man,
You wanted to say you were
if we
saying
can all just take one takeaway from this is, what can cannabis do for our lives and our society? Let's do this. It's time.
It is time.
The lie is over.
Did you hear the pros and cons of cannabis in Washington, D.C. by Jimmy Fallon?
No, I haven't.
Here, let's check this out. We'll be right back. Alyssa's got some last words.
Guys, it's time to take a look at these stories making headlines today and weigh the good with the bad. It's time for pros and cons. Here we go. Tonight we'll be taking a look at the pros and cons of Washington, D.C. decriminalizing marijuana. It is no longer a crime to have up to an ounce of pot in our nation's capital. It's causing some controversy.
Really?
And, yeah. So let's take a look at the pros and cons of Washington, D.C. decriminalizing marijuana. Here we go. Pro, presidential meetings will still take place at the White House. Con, presidential meals will now take place at the White Castle. That's it, right? It's a new tradition.
Yeah, it's a new direction.
Started today, in fact.
New day, you know what I mean?
Pro, the law went into effect after the signing of a historic legal document. Con, the bill of all right.
JK living.
Yeah. Pro, seeing people in D.C. get the munchies. Con, seeing Michelle Obama mow down 100 celery sticks. That's a very healthy alternative.
You gotta stay healthy, man.
Pro, according to WebMD, marijuana can cause magical or random thinking. Con, or as Biden calls that, regular thinking. Whatever.
Hey, don't vote about that presidency.
Pro, seeing congressmen vote yay or nay. Con, seeing congressmen vote whoa or nah, bro. Or the new political process.
It's a whole new world.
Pro, visiting D.C.'s many new attractions. Con, like the Smithsonian, the Pentabong, and the Washington Marijuana-ment. There you go.
You're listening to
Washington Marijuana. The Marijuana-ment.
Marijuana-ment.
Pro, just because marijuana has been decriminalized, that doesn't mean it's legal. Con, that's only going to confuse stoners more. So they go, what's a brain twister? What? Is this plane taking off yet?
You look to the right.
And finally, pro, some well-known politicians are now speaking out in support of the law. Con, Bill Clinton said, screw it, I did inhale. There you go. That's the pros and cons.
Yeah, Beer 420, where everyone that knows what's going down has a foil hat. Have you got a foil hat?
Hey, welcome back. We got our foil hats on. So you wanted to say something on the way out of the gate. We got 13 minutes. You got 10 minutes.
All right. Well,
you got 5 minutes.
What we're doing right now, since we've gone through those emails, we've actually requested more emails that talk about the subject that they were wanting to be violent with. So we're within the next week or so, we should get those emails. Right now, we've actually filed a complaint with the ACLU because of the first email, and we're going to see if the ACLU will pick that up, and maybe we can use that to help Springfield Police Department get body cameras. So that's what we're doing right now. If you go to Southwest Missouri Cop Watchers on Facebook, we have an actual group for people that want to be involved, and then we have a page for people that just want to be updated on police brutality articles from around the nation.
So you guys aren't a protest, you're an action.
Right.
You're an action. You're not a protest, you're an action. You're an evolutionary movement.
We try to get involved with the city, and we try to go every legal way that we can do it. We're trying to do it. We're not just sitting here.
Now, I do see you guys. You go to the local police and sheriff meetings and that kind of stuff. So we do suggest taxpayers and citizens get involved in those things and go and freaking, bury your questions to them. What are you going to do if you catch my little Johnny being a teenager? Are you going to ruin his freaking future and history? Am I going to have to sell my third-born child just to get him out of hot water? That's some bullshit. So make them accountable and cut out the BS, man. Let kids be kids and do some education and guidance instead of punishment that's going to ruin their record and their future.
Community policing versus a war of the citizens.
Yeah, exactly. And like we were talking about the police examples of where they replaced them with security outfits that just provide a service. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. No, you have no freaking authority over me, asshole. You're just working a job just like I do because I'm not breaking the law. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
That's the way the police should be, is be able to be looked at as human beings by other citizens and not as monsters and mafioso, which is how we look at them now. People see police in the rearview mirror and they, that in itself can cause a wreck or an accident, and they're not even guilty. They're just afraid they're going to be singled out because they hear all these stories. And then they panic and they hit somebody because they're paranoid of the cop in the middle lane. You know, I mean, seriously, the whole fear thing needs to be disassimilated. And I do see that happening in a lot more communities where the police are getting out into the community and getting involved, and they're getting involved in school programs or after school programs and interacting with kids and all that. I'm seeing that happening
and that's good.
a lot.
That's real good.
It's becoming more popular. But then you got the opposite. Guns in schools, gun violence, kids coming to schools with guns. Now you got cops in the schools that are Gestapoing the kids in the schools and not letting the kids be kids. You know, they're accusing them of being terrorists for bringing a wanton science project into school and made out to be a bomb because their names adhered or whatever. So I mean, so there's like this balance, they're saying with gun violence, one of the statistics that are highly, highly, highly not brought up to the mainstream through the mainstream media, although I have heard it on NPR brought up a number of times, is that the killings, the mass shootings, they're all in gun-free zones. So basically putting up a sign saying this is a gun-free zone is basically saying, yes, psychopath, you may be able to come here and get a kill count, and maybe you can write a book and be famous and blah, 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 blah. So again, it goes back to the copycat thing. These gun-free zones, it's the zones that have the guns that this shit isn't happening, because people aren't going to go somewhere and pick on people where they're going to put up a fight. It's just like prison mentality. You go into prison, you get picked on, you find the biggest guy and knock him the fuck out if you can. At least get knocked out trying to knock him out. You'll get respect for that. You get where I was going with that. Where was I going, Doug? I got lost.
Well, I'm lost with you too now.
Oh, okay.
But it was going to a good
It was
place.
going to a good place, and I lost it. The thug mentality. So you create that environment. With the whole, you go into that environment, you hold your ground. And that is the basis of your
I want to point out that this war on drugs, which is really just pretty much a war on cannabis, because that's the biggest one out there that they go after, has really helped to shape the mentality of police in a bad way, to make us all look like the enemy and the bad guy, and that everyone that they encounter is a suspect and a liar and has done something wrong. And it's given them that military mentality. And I mean, if you look at some of these police departments, even I believe the Greene County Sheriffs, or it may be SPDs, it's one of the two. If you look at their recruiting video, they show a lot of raid video, a lot of running with your big, semi-automatic weapons and full riot gear type thing.
Right.
And so they're attracting the wrong people.
Right.
The wrong mentality, because most of the police department doesn't do, they don't have that, and they don't do that. It's regular everyday citizens that they pull over that work a 9-to-5 job, that pay their taxes to go home to their kids. Just normal people is who they interact with on the main everyday basis.
Right.
But they're being trained, and they're picking people with the mentality that they want to get out there like they're in a war in Afghanistan.
And it's not a war in Afghanistan. This is American soil, assholes. You can't come here and police us like you're in Beirut.
Right.
It don't work that way. We're the ones that pay for you to be in your boots. So, and that's the thing. Police as well as military personnel take an oath to protect and uphold the law of the land.
Well,
the Constitution.
Let's look at that oath. And I encountered this as a city councilman. Yeah, I swear an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States and the laws of the United States. Well, sometimes those are contradictory. As far as our drug laws are concerned, I challenge anybody to find a constitutional authority in there that allows our government to prosecute a war on a plant.
Right.
There's not that authority.
Mm-mm.
It's unconstitutional.
And it's also
So if you're
a
going
destruction
to-
of free enterprise.
Well, and if you're going to swear an oath to defend the laws, well then, and I'm also going to defend the Constitution. Well, the Constitution really kind of prohibits this law from even existing.
Existing to begin with.
So you kind of have...
Which
a
includes
moral
the
situation
taxes. The taxes is not written into law either. There's been many people of that philosophy that have gone to prison over a law that doesn't exist.
Well, on that note, may he rest in peace. Irwin Schiff just died in the last week or two. 70 plus years old. His only crime was he wrote a book that told the truth.
Right, about taxes, yeah. Yep, that was his only crime. And you can find videos documenting his life and what he did and all that online. They're there. You can find them. I found them. I've watched them. It's pretty amazing. And there's been other of these constitutionalists that have also... I mean, that's basically what they are. They're like, this is not in the Constitution. I don't have to do it.
It's what the law of all
That is the law of all the land. The only law that you have to abide by in all the land is the federal law. And by statute, by what they claim. You know, and then each state has the option to opt in or out of those laws by state, but as soon as you cross the border, the law may change.
Right.
But the federal law is supposed to be the blanket law of the land. That is the basis
that's where
for
you think,
the...
okay, that's where your basic laws, you know, your law limits should be.
Oh, shit. We're down to 3 minutes. So, yeah, get up, get out, be active, find Southwest Missouri Cop Watchers.
And let me mention the tiny homes real quick.
Tiny homes.
I started a little project in my spare time. I wanted to build little shelters for the homeless in Springfield. So I created a page for people to watch my progress. It's called Ultra Tiny Homes for Springfield's Homeless.
Nice.
I'd really like for...
So the little rollaway homes is what she's talking about.
Yeah, little mobile homes that they can get in at night so they don't freeze
and lock
to
up
death.
so they're not freezing and it contains their heat and all that.
Right, they can lock their possessions in there and stow it away if they need to. It keeps them safe at night, keeps their stuff safe, keeps them out of the elements so where they don't get frostbite or die or get wet and sick and stuff like that. So,
where do they find you?
Ultra Tiny Homes for Springfield's Homeless on Facebook.
All right.
And then Southwest Missouri Cop Watchers. We have the group, and then we also have the page.
All right. And I want to thank you again, Alyssa, for being
Thank
here.
you.
Doug, thank you for being here.
Always
Mr.
pleasure.
Anonymous, thank you for being here.
Anytime.
Support is the optimal. Don't leave me hanging. Support is the optimal. And with that concludes this episode of Beer 420 Special Back-to-Back Edition. Catch us on Wednesday, 6 o'clock. Who knows what's up? You two can be co-hosts of Beer 420 and call in on Skype. Maybe we'll do that this Wednesday. Tune in.
You're listening to another Backhand Studios production, courtesy of Spreaker.com.
I know, I buy the magazine.
And thank you all for being here and in chat. Shirley, Amy Burr, Mr. Kent himself, and many, many others. Thank you for being here and supporting us. Share the word. Here's some Ryan Krillick. We're out the door.
When you're the rain, you're always falling, climbing up again, waiting for the sun to take you higher to the cloud where you're not so alone, coming down the longest fall to the stillest stagnance, but you always roll on. Just over those hills, down in the holler, to the river that takes you home. Sometimes they take you what they need to drink, to wash the water down their sea. Sometimes you're frozen in time, hard and cold and still, and waiting for the sun again.